Beginning with a gentle golden wind and light rain, the master of ceremonies, with a single stroke, surprises the world. This video is purely for entertainment, and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting, and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351, Princess Tandayang dies. Blame is placed on her. The temple where Princess Tandayang was staying was a temple for women. There were no monks in the temple, only some guards accompanying the seventh prince. Swish, swish. Two attendants at the entrance of the temple had a bloody mark on their necks, and then they fell to the ground. Then two figures walked into the courtyard. The two figures had black cloths on their faces, covering their faces. They were Mirengfu and Xiao Royan, and it was Xiao Royan who attacked. Inside the temple, several guards with swords saw the two people entering, and immediately drew their swords, and looked at Mirengfu and the others vigilantly. However, the strength of these guards was average, and they collapsed to the ground in an instant after Xiao Royan's sword flashed. They didn't even scream. But the body falling to the ground also attracted the attention of Princess Tandayang in the temple. What happened outside? Princess Tandayang said to a maid beside her, "Let me go and investigate." The servant went out of the wing room. The moment she opened the door, a sword light pierced through the door and pierced her throat. The maid's body was stiff, and her movements paused in the posture of opening the door. "What are you doing standing there?" Princess Tandayang said coldly when she saw the maid standing still at the door. Her words did not make the maid move. Princess Tandayang's eyes suddenly became cold, and she grabbed the long whip on the table with her palm. Then the long whip went directly to the maid. Snap! The long whip hit the maid's body, and the maid fell directly to the ground. There was a sword wound at the throat, and blood was flowing. Princess Tandayang's face changed, and the long whip in her hand was raised instantly, and it was directly whipped by the window in the Zen room. Bang! The window shattered. Seeing this, Princess Tandayang jumped out. As a descendant of a king, she has excellent resources. Coupled with good qualifications, Princess Tandayang's strength is close to the unity of spirit and soul. When she rushed out, a figure was facing away from her. He was tall and slender. It was Mirengfu wearing a black cloth. "Who are you? How dare you attack this princess?" Princess Tandayang shouted. The long whip in her hand pierced the other person's back like a spirit snake. But her whip was fast. The person with his back seemed to have eyes behind him. He moved and dodged Princess Tandayang's attack. But at this time, Princess Tandayang stepped on the ground, raised her palm, and instantly retracted the long whip. Then she swung the long whip down directly, like a sharp blade. Snap! At the moment, when the long whip fell, a palm-like white jade passed through the whip shadow and directly grabbed Princess Tandayang's long whip. Seeing this, Princess Tandayang showed a sneer at the corner of her mouth, and the long whip in her hand was instantly released. She stepped on the ground and shot towards Mirengfu. When she shot towards the other party, Princess Tandayang's eyes flashed coldly. Right hand to waist, swish, a sword light appeared, piercing towards Mirengfu's back like lightning. Sensing this sword, Mirengfu was slightly surprised, and moved his feet. The lightning-like sword did not touch any corner of his clothes. Whoosh! Princess Tandayang's eyes focused, and the ki in her body quickly surged to the soft sword in her hand. The next moment, the sword ki flowed on the soft sword in her hand. The long sword turned, and cut towards Mirengfu. But, just as her long sword cut, Mirengfu raised his palm. A suction force appeared in his palm, and 5 different kis flowed in his palm. With the palm, he slapped out and directly shattered the sword ki condensed by Princess Tandayang. Tai 5 element palm, you are? Princess Tandayang looked at Mirengfu and asked coldly. Mirengfu did not answer her words, but turned his body. In the blink of an eye, the palm appeared where the sword was held. With a light grip, the long sword that was still in Princess Tandayang's palm appeared in Mirengfu's hand. Ding. The ki in Mirengfu's body flowed into the long sword, and then he held the sword towards Princess Tandayang. The sword light flowed, like a beautiful woman in autumn water, hazy and blurred. Autumn water beauty sword, you are you and Mew. She had not been able to confirm the Tai 5 element palm before, but the other party was performing the autumn water beauty sword. When she spoke, Mirengfu's pressure exploded. The person he chose this time was Yuan Mu, a top-ranked guest in the residence of Master Pang. Swish. After the sword light, the long sword pierced into Princess Tan Yang's body. Princess Tan Yang wanted to scream, but a wave of ki enveloped her and directly suppressed her scream. The ki collided with the air, generating a stream of air, which lifted the black cloth on Mirengfu's hat. You. Princess Tan Yang saw Mirengfu's face. Her eyes were a little surprised. This person is not Yuan Mu. But when she thought about this in her mind, the vitality in her body had disappeared. Her body fell to the ground. It would have been easy to kill you, but I had to imitate others, to let you live a little longer. Mirengfu said. At this time, Xiao Royan appeared in front of Mirengfu. I've dealt with the others. Xiao Royan glanced at Princess Tan Yang who was lying on the ground and said, then let's go. Mirengfu nodded. The two left quickly. The situation here should be noticed soon. Not long after Mirengfu and the others left, a young monk came and saw the servant lying on the ground in the blood flowing from his neck. He was immediately shocked and shouted. Several monks came quickly and saw this scene, and their faces suddenly changed. Go and invite the abbot and the seventh prince. The leading monk said immediately. Something big happened, and he quickly walked into the courtyard. Seeing the bodies on the ground and the body of Princess Tan Yang lying in another place, his face turned pale. Princess Chen was killed a few days ago, and today Princess Tan Yang was killed. Princess Tan Yang is not only the daughter of King Liu, but also the imperial concubine bestowed by the 7th prince of the Great Zhao dynasty. Now she was killed in their Xiaoxiang temple. This is a big deal. The monk couldn't help but sweat on his forehead. At this time, the 7th prince and the abbot of Xiaoxiang temple, Master Xianhu, appeared in front of the Zen room. Looking at the corpse on the ground, the 7th prince's face changed drastically. He quickly rushed into the Zen room and saw Princess Tan Yang lying on the ground. His face turned pale. Princess Tan Yang was the link between him and King Liu. If Princess Tan Yang died, King Liu, who was already somewhat dissatisfied with him, would probably be furious and cut off his support for him. Who is it? The 7th prince was a little crazy. A thin man beside him quickly came to Princess Tan Yang and checked the wounds on Princess Tan Yang's body and the energy in her body. At this moment, the 7th prince Liu had calmed down from anger. What did you find out? The 7th prince Liu said in a cold voice. Your Highness, Princess Tan Yang died under Qiu Shu Yaren's swordsmanship. There is still Tai 5 element palm power on her body, and the key power remains in the heavenly man realm. The only one in the capital who has this ability is Yuan Mu, a guest of the Grand Tutor's mansion. The thin man said in a deep voice. Yuan Mu, Grand Tutor's mansion? What about the sword marks? The 7th prince Liu said in a deep voice. The sword marks all killed people with one blow, which can be seen as the work of a sword killer. The middle-aged monk on the side said. Chapter 352. The 4th prince's ambush is successful. All the attacks were fatal, without any extra moves, which showed that the opponent was a swordsman. Upon hearing this, the 7th prince Liu said in a cold and solemn voice, the opponent should not have left for long. Send people to seal off Xiaoxiang temple quickly to see if you can find out anything. Also notify the people from the Zen Fu division to investigate and ask them to give me the results within 3 days. Your Highness, there are many pilgrims in the temple. It may not be appropriate to seal off the temple. I suggest a thorough investigation. Those who are not suspected should be registered and allowed to leave the temple first. Qianhu's Zen master stepped forward and said, follow the master's advice. Commander Pei, you will do it. The 7th prince said. Seeing this, Qianhu's Zen master nodded to the monk beside him and said, assist Commander Pei to strictly check the pilgrims in the temple. Yes. The monk immediately took the order and followed Pei Wen, the leader beside the 7th prince, to lead people to strictly check the pilgrims in the temple. However, Mirengfu and Xiao Royan had already gone down the mountain at this time. Sir, what should we do now? Xiao Royan had already avenged the killing of Princess Tan Yang, and she was a little confused. If we stay in the capital, we can see the scenery of the capital and taste some of the capital's delicacies. Mirengfu said. In his last life, he was devoted to the pursuit of restoring his country, and he lost too many things. In this life, he needs to relax for a while and learn more about the situation of the Great Zhao dynasty. After all, books are just books, and there are still some differences from reality. What's more, she also saw the burden on Zhao Ruan. If the mind is too heavy, the inner demon will breed, which is not good for martial arts practice. On the other side, on a mountain road to the royal cemetery, the carriage of the 4th Prince Liu Long was parked. The coachman and the 4 followers who guarded the 4th Prince Liu Long had fallen in a pool of blood on the ground. 2 people appeared in front of the carriage. Both of them wore masks, and the man with a spear on his back stood behind one of them. 4th Prince, I have waited for you for so long, and you finally came out of the Imperial City. Let me take your head today. The cold voice of the leader echoed on the stone road. Humph. You are the leader of the Huanquan Bugi people. I have been waiting for you for a long time. At this time, a low voice sounded in the carriage. As the voice sounded, the curtain of the carriage was opened, but the hand that opened the curtain was a little thick, not like the hand of a prince at all. Seeing the outstretched palm, the masked man showed his eyes and suddenly shrank. In front, Yushan, one of the 5 deputy hall masters of the Zenfu division, walked out of the carriage and listened to the 2 masked people in front of him with vigilant eyes. Yushan, I didn't expect it to be you in the carriage. It seems that I have been calculated by the 4th prince this time. Where is the 4th prince? The masked man said in a deep voice. If you want to see the 4th prince, you can see him after I capture you. Yushan snorted coldly. Chief, I'll stop him, you go first. The man with the spear on his back said. None of you can leave. While Yushan was speaking, he kicked the ground with his foot and rushed towards the masked man. He clenched his palms, and a fierce aura burst out from his fists, turning into a fist shadow that enveloped the opponent. The surrounding air was blown up by this fist shadow. Boom. At this time, the man with the spear on his back turned his figure and appeared under Yushan's fist shadow, holding the spear in his hand. The spear was fired. Ding, ding, ding. In an instant, the fist shadow collided with the spear, making a sound of metal collision. Boom. Then these fist shadows and spears gathered at one point. Bang. The 2 retreated, but the man with the spear on his back took more steps back, and his hand holding the spear was shaking. It can be seen that he is no match for Yushan. A pair of metal gloves appeared on Yushan's palms, emitting cold light. This is also the reason why his fist was able to collide with the opponent's spear just now. Kill. But the man with the spear on his back did not retreat. He shouted loudly, held the spear, stepped forward, and then attacked Yushan with the spear in his hand like thunder. HMPH. Yushan snorted coldly, clenched his palm into a fist, and at the moment of fisting, his figure suddenly turned into a residual shadow. He first avoided the opponent's spear, and then punched out. Heavenly Slaughter Divine Fist. The fist was thrown out, and the fist shadow instantly turned into several fist shadows, covering the vital parts of the man who threw the spear. The man wanted to retract the spear and block Yushan's attack, but Yushan was faster than him. The fist shadow fell on the opponent's body. Bang. The man with the spear on his back was hit by Yushan's fist, and the whole person was knocked back and flew out. A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. He used the spear in his hand to support the ground and stabilize his body. One hit was successful. Yushan's aura surged, and he raised his hand and slapped the head of the man with the spear on his back. Seeing this, the masked leader of the Huanquan Bugi people split into 3 parts and appeared in front of the man with a spear on his back. He raised his hand and slapped out. Boom. The fists and palms collided, causing a burst of air explosions. Yushan was knocked back. When he retreated, his arm burst open, revealing deep white bones. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. After the spurt, a bloody scar the size of a palm directly appeared on his chest. Or 3-fold strength attack. At this moment, his injuries were more serious than those of the man with a spear on his back. Not far away, the 4th Prince Liu Long was watching the battle here. There were 2 people standing beside him. One was an old man in a brown robe. The old man had a normal face, but his eyes were always focused on the leader of the Huanquan Bugi people. The 3-fold strength of Huanquan, the 3-fold shadow, the strength is in the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. Seeing the other party's body change 3 times, the old man couldn't help but speak. Next to him, there was a big man with 2 hammers on his back. His big body and the big hammers gave people a strong sense of power and oppression. But his eyes were not very big. His eyes were not big, but they were shining. This showed that the big man was meticulous. It was not inversely proportional to his size. I should not be able to keep up with his speed. Elder Zhang, you should be able to keep up with your phantom phaseless step. The big man said. I can keep up in a short time, but if you want to stop the opponent, it depends on how strong the ki in your body is. The old man called Elder Zhang said. Then I will meet him first. Boom. The big man kicked the ground with his foot, and the ground cracked directly. His figure soared into the air, like a rock. In the air, the big man held a hammer in each hand, and bombarded the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people. The powerful force fluctuated, shaking the space with a cracking sound. It made people's hearts tremble. What? The Huangquan Bugi people gathered together, and kept on guarding the surroundings. The fourth prince did not come out of the carriage, which meant that the other party was waiting for him to take the bait. So besides Yushan, there must be another expert. The violent power fluctuations swept over in an instant. The pupils of the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people suddenly shrank, and an incomparable sense of panic spread throughout his body. I can't fight him. Bang! The two hammers fell, and a big pit was smashed on the ground, and dust flew. The leader of the Huangquan Bugi people stood in one place, looking at the big pit in front of him, and his mouth twitched a few times. If he was hit, even if he had ki, he would be seriously injured if not dead. Huangquan Nathoa old finger. The leader of the Huangquan Bugi people dodged a blow, and his figure flashed and attacked in an instant. The dazzling light flew out between his fingers, and swept towards the throat of the big man. Ding. But at this time, an iron hammer blocked the finger. Double hammers, vortex. After blocking the attack, the big man swung his double hammers, and a violent vortex of energy formed between his double hammers, and then enveloped the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people. He wanted to use a powerful force wave to suppress the opponent's body, and at this moment, a grey figure suddenly rushed out. His palms were like withered, and he went to the back of the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people. Leader, be careful. Seeing this, the man with a spear on his back suddenly rushed out. Bang! The old man's palm was printed on the man. The man's figure was shaken away by a palm, and blood spurted out of his mouth, and then he fell to the ground, as if he had no breath. Shadows and shadows. Seeing this scene, the Huangquan Bugi person shouted in a low voice, blocking the surrounding energy, and his body turned into 3 shadows, instantly disappearing in front of them. Escape. You can really escape. The big man said coldly. At this time, the old man's arm came to the man who was killed by his palm before. Point a finger. Ahem. The man with the spear on his back coughed for a while, and his ki was restored. However, the old man moved his hands to block all the acupuncture points on the man's body, and then carried his body to the fourth prince. Your Highness, the plan is complete, said the old man. Their goal this time was to capture the person next to the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people. To be able to become the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people, he must have some means, and it is not certain that he can be caught, not to mention that the other party will fight hard and may cause losses here. Therefore, capturing the person next to him is the most useful, and you can get the most. Chapter 353, Capital City Storm, Zhu Zioran's death. At this time, on the other side of the stone road, there stood an old man with a long beard hanging down to his chest. The old man was gently pinching his beard, and his eyes were looking at the stone road. There was a cold light flashing in his eyes. Fourth Prince Liu Long, you have some tricks, the old man murmured. When he finished speaking, a black crow landed on his shoulder. The old man took out a piece of paper from the black crow's paw. When he saw the content inside, his pupils suddenly shrank, and he turned around and left quickly, as if he had encountered something big. After the old man left, the old man Zhang beside the fourth prince looked at this place. Old Zhang, is there anyone? The fourth prince Liu Long said. There is a breath fluctuation, but it should be gone. The old man Zhang said. At this time, Yushan, one of the deputy commanders of the pacification division, swallowed a pill to recover from his injuries. He was seriously injured in the previous battle. However, he had a strong blood and ki, and after swallowing some pills, his injuries gradually stabilized. At this time, a flying bird landed on his shoulder. There was a golden thread on the bird's head. Golden falcon, something big happened in the capital. Seeing the flying bird, the fourth prince and others were all startled, knowing that something big had happened. Yushan opened the note and said with a startled look after reading it, Princess Danliang was murdered in Xiaoxiang Temple. The 7th prince strictly ordered the Zenfu division to find the murderer within 3 days. Princess Danliang was murdered? Hearing this, the 4th prince Liu Long frowned. It seems that someone wants the capital to be uneasy. Notify the Zenfu division of my attack outside the city. You will go with me to pay homage to King Chen for the time being. After the worship, come back to the imperial city with me. The 4th prince Liu Long said. The leader of the Huangquan Bugi people fled and might attack Yushan, who was alone, so it would be safer to return with him. When the 4th prince Liu Long and others returned to the city, the capital had already been in turmoil. First, the princess died, and then the life and death of Princess Danliang. It was the capital that was filled with an invisible haze. Lingnan County. Because of the changes in the capital, Su Chen became the martial arts leader of the 9 northern counties without any ripples. Becoming the martial arts leader of the 9 northern counties, Su Chen began to ask the forces he controlled to collect all the secret books and ancient books of their respective forces to Shanmen. Only these forces were allowed to leave rubbings. A larger library was built in Shanmen. However, the library was not officially open to the public. Su Chen was immersed in it. Walking out of the library, Su Chen smiled. He had been browsing in the library for the past few days and got 3 orange lottery cards, 5 blue lottery cards, and 4 white lottery cards. It was a great harvest. The main reason was that he only read a small part. I believe that, after reading all of them, there will be many rewards triggered. Of course, some special skills. Su Chen put it in one place and passed it on to people who contributed to him. Take a deep breath. The air is no longer as cold as before. Spring is coming. Su Chen came to an attic. The guard of this attic is the 5 poison boy. There are no other Shanman disciples. Inside the attic, there are several people sitting. Yan Nanshan, Dingpeng, Shangguan Jinhong, Beishai Niu, Zhu Zhengwo, Jing Wuming, Afei, Leng Hushan, Zhao Qiushu. Yuan Suan is standing aside. As for Bei Chaofei, he is already on his way to the capital. Guan Qi and Du Gu Wudi are all in the Seiwei Wu Demon and have not come. Zhu Zioran is on a mission and cannot come. Su Chen stepped into the room. These people quickly stood up and bowed to Su Chen. Su Chen sat down on the main seat. On both sides below him were Yan Nanshan and Dingpeng. Looking at these people, Su Chen felt a little excited. These people are Su Chen's current team and his confidence. This world is very big. Everyone can show their ambitions. Su Chen brought these people together to give them the opportunity to go out. My lord, I'm going to go to the capital with Jing Wuming and join the money gang, Shangguan Jinhong said when Su Chen sat down. After Su Chen decided to let Bei Chaofei take charge of the Golden Wind and Rain Tower, he conveyed his intention. Shangguan Jinhong was in charge of the money gang in his previous life. He has a persistence for the money gang. The money gang also appeared in this world. This is a kind of fate. Of course, Shangguan Jinhong must fight for it. Jing Wuming is Shangguan Jinhong's subordinate. He was loyal to Shangguan Jinhong in his previous life, so he wanted to go to the capital with Shangguan Jinhong to obtain the money gang. Okay, for money, you can contact Yuan Suan. He will fully support you, Su Chen said. He had this idea before, but the 9 northern counties are turbulent and the personnel cannot be dispersed. Now that the 9 northern counties have been taken, Shangguan Jinhong can plot against the money gang. Of course, the money gang can gain a foothold in the capital, and its strength is unquestionable. Although Shangguan Jinhong and Jing Wuming are strong, they are still not good enough to face the money gang. So they plan to find a way to join the money gang first, and then make further plans. However, no matter where they go, there is one thing that cannot be lacking, that is money. Su Chen is ready to give them sufficient financial support. Thank you, Master, Shangguan Jinhong said. What do you think? Su Chen looked at the few people and said, Master, we are not planning to leave the northern 9 counties for the time being. We will stay here to help you complete the rule of the northern 9 counties and consolidate and improve our own strength. Leng Hushan said. Leng Hushan was the leader of the Great Alliance before. He was very strong to be able to become the leader of the Great Alliance, but in this world, his strength is a little weak. He plans to improve his cultivation first, and then leave the northern 9 counties. Moreover, Chen has just stabilized the northern 9 counties and needs some manpower. Although he cannot attack directly, he can attack secretly. Others agree with his idea. They unified the information before Chen came. Okay. Chen nodded. He originally thought that in addition to Shangwen Jinhong, there would be others who would go out to make their own way. Unexpectedly, there was none. But think about these people, they are not the kind of people with strong ambitions. It is also a good thing for them to stay in the northern 9 counties for a while. At this time, suddenly, the 5 poison boys entered the room directly, with a very bad look on their faces. Master, the news from the Golden Wind and Rain Tower is that Zhu Zioren was chased and killed by 2 mysterious people. The whereabouts of the mysterious people are being investigated by the Golden Wind and Rain Tower. The 5 poison boys presented the secret letter in his hand directly. Hearing this news, Chen was stunned. It's not that he hadn't thought that the characters he summoned would die, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. After all, the world is so big that even he himself might die. He read the secret letter brought by the 5 poison boys, handed it to Yan Nanshan below, and said, "It seems that someone is dissatisfied with the Qinglang Society." He had just become the leader of the martial arts world in the northern 9 counties. The other party killed the whole master of their Qinglang Society, which was a demonstration and provocation. Yan Nanshan's expression was not good at this time. The Qinglang Society of the northern 9 counties was controlled by him. The other party killed Zhu Zioren, which was a declaration of war against him. At this time Zhu Zhengwo stepped forward and said, "My lord, Zhu Zioren's mission this time is to capture Xian Mu, the head of the Xian family in Beijing." Zhu Zhengwo helped Yan Nanshan deal with some matters of the Qinglang Society, and knew who Zhu Zioren's target this time was. Chapter 354, Tantric Relics, the Tripitaka of Life and Death, cited, Qinglang Temple, Longbei County Xian family? Chen frowned slightly. "My lord, Longbei Xian family is a branch of Jiangnan Xian family. They have been in Longbei County for many years, but they generally do not participate in the affairs of the martial arts world. They are only engaged in the transportation of iron, or in Longbei County, transporting iron ore from the 9 northern counties to Jiangnan." Zhu Zhengwo said. "The information of Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower is connected with the information of Qinglang Hu. Now Zhu Zhengwo is in charge of this area. Jiangnan Xian family, a great noble family in Jiangnan area, has great prestige in Jiangnan area." Chen muttered. "Go investigate the person who gave this task." Chen ordered. From the feedback, Xian Mu had been killed by Zhu Zioren. Zhu Zioren was hunted down and killed after killing Xian Mu. "I will arrange someone to investigate," Zhu Zhengwo said. Chen became the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties and issued a notice. As long as the forces and people who have given him a visiting card will not be assassinated by the Qinglang Society in the 9 northern counties. As for other killer organizations that kill people under his jurisdiction, they will be strangled by the joint forces. Of course, the disputes and distribution of interests in the martial arts world in the 9 northern counties need to be arranged by him as the leader of the martial arts world. Chen is ready to decide to let Zhu Zhengwo and Zioqiashu take charge of this matter. One of these 2 people is a famous hero in the world, and the other is Zhu Shenhao, who is well known in the world. He can't have time to manage the affairs of the martial arts world in the 9 northern counties. Zioqiashu and Zhu Zhengwo have appeared as the whole masters of the Qinglang Society. It is normal to appear in the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties. Find out the situation as soon as possible, and we also need to further suppress the Qinglang Temple. Chen said. "My lord, the Qinglang Temple is now in seclusion. We are not very clear about its specific strength, and the Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower has not fully investigated it. Also, the Qinglang Temple has been closed. According to some secret rules of the Great Zhao Dynasty, we cannot attack it. Once we attack, the Buddhist sects of the Great Zhao Dynasty will attack us." Zhu Zhengwo said. "I have a relic and a Tripitaka of life and death here. Spread them out, and see if we can lure them out." As long as they are lured out, their so-called closed temple is not a closed temple, and we have reason to force them to leave. Of course, I hope Zuzioran's death has nothing to do with the Qinglang temple. If it does, then even if they are closed, they must be destroyed. When Su Chen was speaking, a secret book and a brocade box appeared in his hand and he handed them to Yan Nanshan. The tantric relic and the Tripitaka of life and death were found by Su Chen in the cold pond of Shangate. He has already touched the Tripitaka of life and death, and he has memorized all the contents. As for the tantric relics, Su Chen did not dare to touch them casually. He had kept them all the time. This time, he might be able to use them to lead to the Qinglang temple. This Tripitaka of life and death. Mr. Yan and Master Ding, you can study it. Maybe it will be helpful to you. Su Chen said. The Tripitaka of life and death is a spiritual practice. Yan Nanshan and Ding Peng's own key cultivation has reached the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. They can only accumulate and purify, but not break through. It's like a bowl. Its size is fixed. If you want to put more, you can only increase the density of the items put in. Spiritual practice is different. There is no limit to the spirit. Maybe breaking through the 9 difficulties of heaven and man is a qualitative change in the spirit. Thank you, my lord. The two bowed and thanked at the same time. Bei Shianai and Leng Hushan, the two of you are stationed in the internal library of Shanman. You can comprehend the exercises inside. You and Suan, you will make a copy of the Tripitaka of life and death, and put it in the internal library. You can enter and watch it at will. Su Chen then ordered. Bei Shianai and Leng Hushan were from the Jinfeng Xiao Tower. It was not convenient to fight directly, so Su Chen temporarily asked them to stay in the inner library of Shanman. Find out who killed Zuzioran as soon as possible, Su Chen said. Yes. Yan Nanshan, Zhu Zhengwo, Zhao Qiushu, Afei. The 4 of them went to one part of the pavilion. There was a secret door in the attic, leading to a place outside Shanman. As for Bei Shianai and Leng Hushan, they followed Yuan Suan and left. In the house, only Su Chen and Ding Peng were left. Su Chen stood up and said, Master Ding, I have encountered some difficulties in my practice recently. Please help me, Master Ding. After Su Chen entered the first difficulty of heaven and man, his strength improvement was a bit slow, so he wanted to ask Ding Peng for advice. Let's go to the martial arts arena, Ding Peng said. Yuan Suan was in charge of the mountain gate and built a martial arts arena specifically for it. This martial arts arena, Shanman disciples are not allowed to enter without permission. Ding Peng now lives in the martial arts arena. Another place. 3 carriages were moving forward. The front carriage seemed very spacious. There were incense burners and some fruits on the table. Helian Zioyao was half lying on the bed. He was looking at the secret letter he had just received. Seeing the secret letter, he sat up involuntarily. Princess Qingchen just died, and Princess Tanyang was killed again. Who is so bold to kill people in the capital? The death of these 2 people has changed the situation in the capital. It seems that it is not very safe to return to the capital. Helian Zioyao thought to himself. Master, what happened? The housekeeper beside him said. Take a look. Helian Zioyao handed the secret letter to the housekeeper beside him. This. The housekeeper saw the contents of the envelope and his pupils shrank suddenly. Let's go. I'll go to Brother Bei to see. I think he should have received news from the capital. Helian Zioyao tidied his clothes and jumped out of the carriage. At this time, in a carriage behind, Bei Chaofu's brows were also furrowed, and Nailin Rangan beside him also looked unhappy. They looked unhappy, mainly because of the news of Zuzioran's death. Unexpectedly, just after they left, someone attacked the Qinglang society, and he couldn't find out who the person was in a short time. As for the situation in the capital, they received the information, but they were not surprised. Princess Tanyang had been on the list of those who must die. Death only meant that Mirengfu succeeded in his attack. Brother Bei, can you come in and talk? At this time, Helian Zioyao's voice sounded outside his carriage. Brother Helian, come in. Bei Chaofu asked the carriage to pause for a while. Helian Zioyao jumped into the carriage. He nodded slightly to Nalan Rangan. Brother Bei, you should know about the situation in the capital. Helian Zioyao said. Yes, I know that Princess Tanyang was killed, and the 4th prince was attacked by the Huangquan Bugi people. Betrayals said. There may be changes in the capital, and evil spirits will come out, which is very unfavorable for you to establish Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. Hellion Zioao said in a deep voice. The capital is changing, and our Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower business can do better. Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower is in the intelligence business. The more turbulent it is, the more people are willing to spend money to find out information. So the changes in the capital gave Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower the opportunity to gain a foothold. What's more, Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower had laid out the capital a long time ago, trained many spies around the capital, and also hired many spies. This is also the reason why Betrayals dared to enter the capital. Chapter 355, Condensing the Millstone of Life and Death. Zhu Yiren, Liu Sheng Yijian. Aren't you afraid of dying in it? Hellion Zioao said in a deep voice. Hellion Zioao has always adhered to the creed of keeping a low profile and never putting himself in danger. Of course, this is also the reason why he can live to this day. Brother Hellion, what a man fights for in his life is his life, and he fights for his life and his ability to dominate the world in this stormy time. In his previous life, he had ambitions, and he endured a lot of suffering by himself. Ziliaosin fell in love with Lei Chun, his eldest brother's woman, and the death of Zhu Zioao, and his disagreement with Wang Xiaoshi, which led to a rift between the brothers. He was imprisoned by his beloved, and humiliated in every way. In his previous life, he was a little miserable, and in this life, he wanted to live a future. Death is not too strange to people like them who have died once, nor does it scare them. Looking at the momentum revealed on Betrayals' plain face, Hellion Zioao also felt a sense of passion for the rivers and lakes. After listening to what Brother Bei said, my previous worries seem to have disappeared. The capital is in turmoil, and it is also the day for our generation to come to the fore. Hellion Zioao said. He was going to return to the capital to break through the current realm in seclusion. Otherwise, he would fall behind too much. I won't bother you two. Hellion Zioao said, and jumped out of the carriage. After Hellion Zioao left, Nailin Rangan said, this Hellion master was stimulated by your words. He was not stimulated by me, but he recovered his nature. Hellion Zioao is not a simple person. Betrayals said. What kind of martial arts did the two people who killed Zhu Zioren use? Now it is important to find the two people who killed Zhu Zioren. It was too dark, and the time to attack was very short. We only know that one of them used a sword and the other used a fist. According to the information sent back, before Master Zhu died, he backhanded and pierced the other's chest, but he did not kill him with one blow. I'm investigating along this line. Nailin Rangan said. As soon as there is news, notify the young master immediately. Betrayals ordered. The other party attacked Zhu Zioren of the Qinglang Society in order to suppress the Qinglang Society and suppress Xu Qin's position in the 9 northern counties. This matter must be handled with caution. Don't worry, I have arranged people to investigate, and I believe there will be results soon. But master, we are going to the capital, and it may not be so easy to establish the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. Nailin Rangan said. Any force that wants to establish in the capital needs to register with the Zenfu Division. The Zenfu Division of the capital is the headquarters of the North and South Zenfu Divisions. But it is not so easy for a force to get the opportunity to register with the Zenfu Division. What's more, the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower has attracted much attention, and it is even more difficult to get it. This is why Betrayals asked Hellion Zioao to pass the message to the capital. Don't worry, if the Zenfu Division does not register us, I will personally invite the two pavilion masters, Yi and Future, to come to the Zenfu Division in person. Betrayals said. Golden Wind and Rain Tower according to the rules of the rivers and lakes, we have to register at the door. If the Zenfusi drags on and does not give it, it will break the rules of the rivers and lakes. Those who are powerful can naturally go to the Zenfusi in person. Take such a quota from the Zenfusi. This was an order issued by the emperor of the Great Zhao dynasty. But for so many years, no one has ever been able to intimidate the Zenfusi. Hearing Betrayals' words, Nailin Rangan nodded. Continue to arrange spies here. When we arrive in the capital, I want our intelligence network to be no worse than other organizations. Bai Chaofui said. Nalan Rangan took the order and looked out the window with a gleam in her eyes. The capital is the core of the great Zhao dynasty. She, Nalan Rangan, could actually step into it, which she had never thought. Time flies. For 3 consecutive days, what happened in the capital of the great Zhao dynasty has spread throughout the dynasty. As for the death of Zhu Zioran, the head of the Qinglan Club, it was only spread in the 9 northern counties. Of course, when this news came out, some people in the 9 northern counties were also abrupt. Unexpectedly, the leader of the Qinglan society was killed just after the Qinglan society controlled the 9 northern counties. They received a secret order from the leader, which asked them to find the killer who might kill Zhu Zioran in their respective territories. Compared with the secret investigation of the Jinfeng Xiao Tower, Su Chen's order from the leader seemed more positive, and more people were mobilized. He believed that the person who killed Zhu Zioran would be found soon, by investigating both the positive and the secret. When this news came out, another news came out. In Lincheng, one of the 9 northern counties, traces of tantric relics were found there, suspected to be the relics of Dahu Dharma King of Qinglan Temple. This news spread quickly. The relics are the essence of the life of the master of the Tantric Buddhist Academy. Dahu Dharma King is a master of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man in Qinglan Temple. His essence, if it is obtained by the high monks of the Tantric Buddhist Academy, he will definitely become a master of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. Even if it is not a high monk of the Tantric Buddhist Academy, ordinary people who obtain this relic will definitely be able to enter the realm of heaven and man. At one time, many people began to head towards Lincheng. Shan Gate Su Chen sat cross-legged on the futon, with ki and energy flowing around him, and ki and blood were tempering his body. The speed of the physical strength rising is not bad. After the physical strength rises for a while, I will swallow more ki and energy pills, so that the ki and energy will rise faster. Su Chen thought to himself, while tempering his body. Ki and energy cultivation relies on oneself and some pills. If the body is not strong, swallowing some powerful pills may cause the body's meridians to collapse. So Su Chen has been strengthening his body recently, tempering his body to a certain degree, swallowing a large number of pills, and improving his own ki and energy. After a while, the ki and blood disappeared. Su Chen slowly opened his eyes, but did not stand up from the futon. Instead, he made seals with his hands. This kind of seal is a way of practicing in the Tripitaka of life and death. Su Chen plans to try to practice the Tripitaka of life and death this time. He began to silently recite the dark practice formula in the Tripitaka of life and death. As the voice from his mouth entered his ears, a vague, life and death grinding wheel appeared in his mind. The last time Su Chen triggered the life and death Tripitaka, he condensed the life and death grinding wheel in his mind, but failed at that time. Only by condensing the life and death grinding wheel can the key of life and death be transformed, and the 9 turns of life and death be achieved. To achieve the spirit to drive the body, Su Chen concentrated his mind and began to operate the life and death Tripitaka to see if he could condense the life and death grinding wheel. He tried his best to sense it according to the operation method of the life and death Tripitaka. As he sensed it, a series of light spots appeared in his mind, and these light spots went towards the life and death grinding wheel. When these light spots appeared, Su Chen's spirit sensed that the power of his physical body was constantly being consumed. Use the power of the physical body to nourish the spirit and condense the life and death grinding wheel. Su Chen understood in his heart. As time passed, the life and death grinding wheel in Su Chen's mind began to become somewhat clear, but Su Chen stopped practicing, because at this time, most of his ki and blood were actually consumed. He opened the space ring and swallowed some pills to replenish ki and blood, to restore some ki and blood. He stood up slowly. He didn't plan to continue practicing. When he was refining the Tripitaka of life and death, not only his physical blood and ki were being consumed, but his spirit was also highly consumed. Blood and ki can be replenished, but spirit is not so easy to replenish. What's more, he has now condensed a prototype, so he can just take it slowly. He adjusted his breath. Su Chen glanced at the lottery wheel in his mind. He had seen it less in the past 3 days. Most of the time, he practiced under the guidance of Magic Blade Dingpeng. Although his realm did not improve much, his combat power improved a lot. Therefore, he did not trigger many draws. Together with the previous draw cards, he now has 5 orange draw cards, 3 blue draw cards, and 2 white draw cards. Chen didn't care about the blue and white draw cards. Now, the things drawn from these 2 kinds of draw cards are ordinary and meaningless to him, so after they are gathered together, they become orange draw cards, and are drawn together. Draw out the 5 orange draw cards. Get the character Zhu Yiren, get the character Liu Shengyijian, get 10 bottles of Shiny Yuandan, 10 pills/bottle, 2 characters, 10 bottles of elixirs, 5 orange lottery cards. What I got is a bit of a loss. I just don't know what the system definition of Zhu Yiren and Liu Shengyijian is. Chen thought in his heart. He had obtained 2 character experience cards before. One is Zhu Yiren, and the other is Liu Shengyijian. These 2 people were drawn by blue lottery cards at that time, but now they are orange lottery cards. Logically speaking, their strength should not be bad. Chen held hope in his heart, and checked the information of the 2. After seeing the information, Chen's pupils suddenly changed. The strength of the 2 made Chen a little regretful and surprised. The system definition was in the 8th difficulty of Heaven and Man, and did not reach the 9th difficulty of Heaven and Man. This will also make up for some blank realms. Chen thought in his heart. He has 4 Heaven and Man 9 difficulties, but after the 9th difficulty of Heaven and Man, there are some faults. Now the 8th difficulty of Heaven and Man appears to alleviate this fault. Moreover, Zhu Yiren and Liu Shengyijian both appeared in the name of Qinglang Society. Zhu Yiren claimed to be the special envoy of the Qinglang Society and the head of the Zhenghai Hall of Liu Shengyijian. So it was normal for the 2 to appear in the 9 northern counties. Zhu Yiren replaced Zhu Zioren as the head of the hall. After thinking about this, Chen slowly stood up and walked out of the secret room. The 5 poison boys were waiting outside the secret room. Chen walked out of the secret room and followed Chen out. How is the investigation of Zhu Zioren's matter going? Chen asked. It has not been found out yet, but the Jimpfeng Xiaoyu Tower and Elder Yuan speculated that this matter may be related to Qinglang Temple. The 5 poison boys said. Hearing this, Chen's eyes flashed coldly. Bei Chaofei and Yuan Suan would not speculate about Qinglang Temple for no reason. There must be some basis. Can't hold it back. Chen murmured. The 2 passed through some buildings and came to a hall. Yuan Suan, Zhao Qiushu, and Zhu Zhengwo all gathered in the hall. Zhu Zhengwo and Zhao Qiushu openly left the Qinglang Society and joined Shanman, becoming elders like Yuan Suan. They were responsible for the affairs of the martial arts world in the 9 northern counties. Can you confirm that it was the Qinglang Temple who did it? And why did they do it? Chen said as he sat on the bench. Master, according to the clues sent back at that time, when Hall Master Zhu was killed, he fought back desperately and severely damaged one person's heart meridian. That means the other party should have been injured at that time. Since Hall Master Zhu was killed, Jimpfeng Xiaoyu Tower has been paying attention to the dynamics of various places in Longbei County, and no one has left. The other party was injured and has not left Longbei County, so they can only go to Qinglang Temple. After all the forces in Longbei County, big and small, have sent their visiting cards to our Shan sect and recognize the position of the master as a leader. And we have also secretly investigated these forces and found nothing suspicious. So the 2 people can only enter Qinglang Temple. So no matter what, this matter is related to Qinglang Temple. Zhu Zhengwo said. The news of the tantric relics and the Tripitaka of life and death has spread. Is there any movement at Qinglang Temple? Chen asked afterwards. This was the lead released by Chen. Previously, he only intended to force the Qinglang Temple to leave, but if Zhu Zioren's death was related to the Qinglang Temple, then Chen would not mind if he was one of the 4 great ancestral temples of the Tantric Buddhism, and would not take action. Since the Qinglang Temple could be suppressed and sealed, it could also be destroyed. Has Bei Chaofei arrived in the capital? And what's the situation in the capital? Chen knew that Mirengfu killed the Princess Danayang, but Mireng Qingchen and the Princess Danayang were killed one after another, and the 4th prince was attacked by the Huanquan Bugi people outside the city. The capital must have changed. The 7th prince in the capital ordered the Zenfu division to give a result within 3 days, but the Zenfu division did not find any clues, resulting in the dismissal of 2 of the 5 deputy hall masters of the Zenfu division, one of whom was the commander of the northern Zenfu division. Yuan Suan said, "The Zenfu division has the north and south Zenfu divisions under it, and 2 of the 5 deputy hall masters are the commanders of the north and south Zenfu divisions. The position of deputy palace master of the Zenfu division is not small. The strength must at least reach the 7 difficulties of heaven and man. Who will take over?" Chen said. "Seeing who takes over, perhaps we can see something clearly." Li Zichen, the Jiangbi family of the 9th prince's mother, becomes the deputy palace master of the Zenfu division and the commander of the northern Zenfu division. The other person is the retainer of the 12th prince, the one-armed swordsman Yan Zishan. Hearing Zhu Zhengwo's words, Chen's expression was slightly stunned. In his mind, shouldn't the 4th and 7th princes benefit from this situation? How could it be the 12th and 9th princes? It seems that the capital is also a quagmire. Chen murmured. "But I don't know what it will be like when Bei Chaofei arrives in the capital tomorrow. The Jingfeng Xiaoyu Tower in the capital is not so easy to open, and Bei Chaofei will face great pressure. This is a secret letter sent by Bei Chaofei, which needs to be opened by the master himself." At this time, Yuan Suan took out a secret letter from his arms. Chen opened the envelope, his eyes slightly fixed. There was only one line of words in the letter. "If you encounter any obstruction, please ask Emperor Knight, and, in the future, to come to the pacification office." It seems that Bei Chaofei knows something. Although Emperor Knight, and in the future, coming to the pacification office can enhance the reputation of Xian'ai Pavilion, it will make the great Zhao dynasty feel that Xian'ai Pavilion is unruly, which has both advantages and disadvantages. Chapter 356, The 12th Prince, Shadowgate. In the capital, in a deep courtyard surrounded by high walls, in a wing room, a woman in gauze was leaning against the chest of a young man. The man had a handsome face, but there was a sinister look between his eyebrows. At this time, the man pushed the woman away from him, but the woman was not angry, and stepped forward to help the man put on his coat. The coat was a golden python robe embroidered with 4 claws, which showed that the young man was a prince of the great Zhao dynasty. "Your Highness, this time we captured the deputy palace master of the Zenfu division, which may attract the attention of the other 9 regent princes," the woman said softly. "I failed in the fight for the position of the regent prince, but that doesn't mean I will give up the fight for the throne. If I don't fight for the throne, you, Shadowgate, won't support me. Now that I'm taking action, it's also a reminder to them, the regent princes, not to ignore us princes. What's more, my action can give those princes who lost that year, or had no chance, to fight for the 9 regent princes, a chance to stand out. At this moment, they will all support me. Only by supporting me, and letting me stand out, they will have a chance to fight for the throne. It's a good thing that the 9 princes support me," the young man said coldly. This young man is Liu He, the 12th prince of the great Zhao dynasty, not one of the 9 regent princes. Murong Qingchen and Princess Daniyang, you didn't arrange for someone to kill them, did you? The 12th prince Liu He looked at the woman in front of him, with a cold light in his eyes. "It has absolutely nothing to do with us." The woman in gauze raised her hand, and a red cloak fell on her not far away, wrapping her graceful figure. Walking in small steps, she came to the 12th prince Liu He and said, "I hope it has nothing to do with you, otherwise, I will hand you over to the Cheyenne Jianzi. I think you should know the horror of the Cheyenne Jianzi." The 12th prince Liu He retracted his gaze and said softly. The woman in front of him was stunned when she heard the Cheyenne Jianzi. It can be seen that she is afraid of this Cheyenne Jianzi. "By the way, how did you, Shadowgate, investigate the details of the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower?" Liu He slowed down his tone and said softly. "We didn't find out the details of the Xian'ai Pavilion behind the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. There is no clue at all. It seems that this force has never existed. Your Highness should be cautious if he wants to contact them." Speaking of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower and Xian'ai Pavilion, the woman frowned. "If it never existed, it can only be said that you can't find it. but the more mysterious it is, the more likely it is to help me get the throne, right? The 12th Prince Liu he showed a smile at the corner of his mouth. The reason why he competed for one of the 5 deputy hall masters of the Zenfu division this time was mainly because of this Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. He wanted to contact Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower to increase his own strength. When will Bei Chaofei arrive in the capital? Liu he asked. According to the intelligence feedback, he should arrive in the capital tomorrow. The woman in red said. We can't find the relationship between Xian'ai Pavilion and Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. Then we will keep an eye on Bei Chaofei. This person can be appointed by Xian'ai Pavilion as the owner of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. His status in Xian'ai Pavilion should not be simple. Liu he said. Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower evacuated the 9 northern counties and wanted to establish Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. What is the capital? The capital of the Great Zhao dynasty, the core of power. Bei Chaofei was able to sit on the position of the owner of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. How could he sit without some background and ability? Don't worry, Your Highness. In my early years, when I went to Lingnan County, I had some friendship with Malin Rangan, who is now by Bei Chaofei's side. Through her, I think we will have a better contact with Bei Chaofei. The woman in red said softly. Okay, I'll wait for your notice here. The 12th Prince Liu he nodded, then pushed the door open, stepped out of the room and left. Inside the room, the woman in red raised her hand, pushed open the door, and closed it directly. At this time, a figure rolled out from under the bed in the house. This figure was short, a dwarf, but his face showed a sinister look. Lord Hangluo, this 12th prince is too presumptuous. He can have the power today, all thanks to you, sir, and now he dares to threaten you. The dwarf who appeared looked at the door and said sinisterly, "Pa." At this moment, the woman in red slapped the dwarf in the face. The force was so strong that a trace of blood appeared at the corner of the dwarf's mouth. But there was no dissatisfaction on his face, and there was a hint of madness. He stretched out his tongue and licked the blood from the corner of his mouth. He looked at the woman in red with an obsessed look. Your Highness, this is not something you can discuss. If you let me hear you discuss the 12th prince again, I will pull out your tongue. I asked you to investigate the situation of Princess Danayang. How is the investigation going? The woman in red said. Sir, judging from the traces of the attack, it is indeed the same as the method used by Yuan Mu, a retainer of the Grand Tutor's mansion. As for Princess Danayang's recent whereabouts, since she came to the capital, she has been in and out of Prince Yu's mansion every day. She has not offended anyone in the capital. As for the prince's mansion, she has offended many people, but none of them have the courage to attack Princess Danayang. Hearing the words of the woman in red, the dwarf regained his composure and spoke in a serious voice. That is to say, there is no clue from Princess Danayang. Can you find anything from the wounds of those servants? The woman in red then asked. It's just the marks left by an ordinary longsword, but the speed of the attack is fast. The person who attacked must have killed many people, the dwarf said in a deep voice. In other words, it's a professional killer? The woman in red said. That person should not be a professional killer, but he has killed many people. Why? The sword has a lot of murderous aura, which is not what a killer should have. A killer only has murderous aura, not murderous aura. From this point, I guess that the person who attacked may have a grudge against Princess Danayang. But this clue is not very useful. Princess Danayang has a fierce personality and likes to kill people, so it is impossible to investigate. The dwarf said in a deep voice. Is that so? Then don't investigate Princess Danayang's affairs anymore. Anyway, this matter involves the Grand Tutor's mansion, and someone is more anxious than the royal family. Wait for Bei Chaofei and his sedan chair at the city gate tomorrow, and find a way to deliver this letter to Malin Rangan. The woman in red raised her hand and grabbed a letter on the table not far away. She sucked it into her hand and handed it to the dwarf in front of her. My lord, don't worry. Okay, you can go out. The woman in red waved her hand. The dwarf did not go through the main door, but broke the window and left. The wind blew into the house, draped with red gauze, fluttering in the wind, showing the woman's graceful figure. Betrayals, I really want to see how you can pass the level of the Zenfu division. I hope you know the situation. The woman murmured. Chapter 357. Betrayals flew into the capital and went straight to the pacification office. It's not just here in the capital that people are talking about Betrayals and Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. Many people are discussing it, especially the 7th prince. Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower has some friendship with King Long Society, and King Long Society has a grudge against him, so he doesn't like Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower very much. Mr. Ku, is there any movement from my third brother? He probably doesn't want Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower to come to the capital. Does he have any idea of taking action? The 7th Prince Liu said. Mr. Ku, who was standing next to him, shook his head and said, there is no news from the 3rd prince. I guess we can only see his attitude when Betrayals goes to the Zenfu division tomorrow. Don't worry about other people's attitudes. Tell Silong to hold the registration of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower first. I really want to see how they can establish the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower without the registration book. And Mr. Ku, is there any news about the assassin from the Zenfu division? If there is no news, the 3rd son of King Liu, Ni Chang, will rush to the capital. The 7th Prince Liu said in a deep voice. The pacification office has confirmed that Princess Tan Yang died of revenge, but they have not determined whether the murderer is Yuan Shu, a retainer of the Grand Tutor's mansion. Because Yuan Shu was with the courtesan in Kahua Tower that day, and the courtesan can testify. Mr. Ku replied. Can the courtesan's words be trusted? Asked the 7th Prince Liu. There were only the two of them at the time, no one else, so only half of the words can be believed, but this Yuan Shu should not have the courage to kill Princess Tan Yang, and he has no motive to kill Princess Tan Yang at all. Mr. Ku shook his head. But if there is no clue, sometimes sacrifice is needed. I believe that the Grand Tutor will consider the overall situation. The 7th Prince Liu said afterwards. From his words, it can be known that he is going to use Yuan Shu as a scapegoat. Mr. Ku did not speak. He is just a counselor around the 7th prince. Sometimes he cannot decide what his master thinks, not to mention that this matter cannot be decided casually. Your Highness, the 4th prince has captured a man next to the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people. Perhaps we can contact the 4th prince. Mr. Ku suggested. Using Yuan Mu as a scapegoat is only the last resort. My 4th brother is really good at this. He went out of the city alone and led out the Huangquan Bugi people. However, this Huangquan Bugi people actually openly assassinated the royal family members. They should be annihilated. I will go to see my 4th brother tomorrow morning. The 7th prince waved his hand. The next day, at the city gate, Betrayals' carriage stopped outside the city gate. As for Helion Xiaoyao's carriage, when it was close to the capital, it separated from them and entered the capital in advance. Golden Wind and Rain Tower, Betrayals has attracted much attention, but Helion Xiaoyao doesn't want to be noticed. Inside the carriage, Master, the capital is ahead. Nalan Rangan looked at the magnificent city wall outside the window and said, enter the city. Betrayals had no intention of getting off the carriage, and directly asked someone to drive the carriage into the capital. At this time, on the city gate tower, a man in soft armor looked at Betrayals' carriage, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and waved his hand. A city gate guard came to the man. Announce a strict inspection for 10 minutes, drive the people in the carriage out, and ask them to walk into the capital. The man said to the visitor. Yes. The visitor did not dare to be negligent, grabbed the bronze gong on the wall, and quickly went to the bottom of the city tower. Then a sound of gongs was heard downstairs. All passing vehicles and pedestrians, get off the car for inspection. The voice was loud, and the guards guarding the city quickly stopped people. Get off the car for inspection. It just stopped Betrayals' carriage. Master, we. Nalan Rangan saw this, and a cold light appeared on her face. It's not impossible to walk into the capital. Betrayals' face was calm, and he got out of the carriage. Betrayals was dressed in white at this time, with a mink coat on his body to keep warm. He gave people a very quiet feeling. Nalan Rangan was tall and graceful, with a veil on her face, to cover her beautiful face. The two stood together, and there was a sense of heaven and earth. This person is Betrayals. I can endure some things, but I don't know how long I can endure it. On the tower, the man in soft armor saw Beichalfei coming down, and his eyes moved slightly. The guards at the city gate did not make things difficult for Beichalfei. The order they received was to dismount and investigate. If the other party dismounted, their mission would be completed. Those who can attract the attention of the superiors are not simple people. They don't want to sacrifice their lives for unwarranted flattery. The carriage followed behind Beichalfei and the others slowly entered the city gate. Master, shall we take a rest today and go to the Zenfu division tomorrow? Nalan Rangan said. Go directly to the Zenfu division's registration hall and register. Beichalfei said. He really wanted to see what the other party wanted to do. He has received Su Chen's instruction that, in the future, Emperor Yi can come to the pacification office in person. Hearing Beichalfei's words, Nalan Rangan nodded. She helped Beichalfei enter the carriage first, and when she was about to step into the carriage, a figure passed by her. A letter appeared in her hand. Nalan Rangan put the letter in her hand without saying a word, and stepped into the carriage. That person just now. After entering the carriage, Beichalfei spoke. Now his strength has entered the 5 difficulties of heaven and man, and his spiritual sense is sharp. He sensed that someone passed by Nalan Rangan. Give me a letter. Nalan Rangan opened the letter in his hand. There was a red leaf on the envelope with a line of words written on it. After several years of separation, we will meet in the capital. If you want to open the building smoothly, you can come to the moon watching tower in the city tomorrow, and leave the words, Hongaluo. Yes, it's someone I met in Lingnan County many years ago. We had a good conversation and we used to call each other sisters. Master, it seems that someone wants to contact you through me. Nalan Rangan said. The princes in the capital have many forces, and there should be some who want to contact us, but I, Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower, will not rely on anyone. A cold light flashed in Beichalfei's eyes. The carriage continued to move forward, heading towards the Zenfu division. This Beichalfei went straight to the Zenfu division. What does he want to do? Some people saw Beichalfei's carriage, and couldn't help but wonder. He went directly to the Zenfu division. Isn't he afraid of being humiliated? Some people said. Although some people hope that Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower will open a building in the capital, it is impossible to register him today. Going there like this is simply asking for trouble and humiliation. It makes people very confused. At this time, in a tall building, standing there was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was burly, with a strong back, and a pair of tiger eyes, looking at Beichalfei's carriage heading to the Zenfu division. Beichalfei, my son admires you very much. What's your intention in going to the Zenfu division? The middle-aged man murmured. This man is Helian Zhaoyao's father Helian Luo, the privy councillor of the Great Zhao Armament Department, and one of the people in power behind the Zenfu division. Helian Zhaoyao entered the city in advance, hoping that Helian Luo would come forward and ask the Zenfu division not to embarrass Beichalfei. So Helian Luo came here specially to see this man today. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358, Pacification Division, Mu Zantang, Black Sparrow Pavilion. This is the person your precious son has chosen. A charming voice came from behind Helian Luo. Then a woman who looked about 30 years old came out. The woman exuded an alluring charm, with a high bun and 3 golden hairpins in her hair. She had a pair of charming and bright eyes, slightly red lips, delicate skin, and a firm chest and hips. Going directly to the pacification office is a bit impulsive. The woman looked at Beichalfei's carriage and said. The woman's name is Lu Liangxi, and she is the owner of the Beihua Tower where they are. From the information we have obtained, this Beichalfei is not an impulsive person. Before he came to the capital, he was in charge of the Jinfeng Xiaoyu Tower in the 9 northern counties. He is calm and experienced in doing things. Don't underestimate this Beichalfei. What's more, it is rumored that the 2 pavilion masters of the North Pavilion of Xianaya Pavilion, Yidi, and Rifu, are already in the capital. Helian Lu said. Is it possible that Jinfengxiu Tower sent out false news? Lu Liangxi, who was beside him, said softly. This is true. If Yi Di and Rifu were not here, Bei Chao would have died if he flew to the capital. Helian Lu said. At this time, the carriage had passed their sight. The speed of the carriage was neither fast nor slow. It gradually passed through the crowd and came to a wider road. The Zenfu division is the power agency of the capital. However, those who come here are all from the underworld, so there are few pedestrians on this street. In the Zenfu division, as soon as you enter the gate, there is a courtyard on the right. There is a plaque in front of the courtyard, showing the registration division. Any underworld forces coming to the capital must register here. Under normal circumstances, this registration is just a symbol and report. After all, the Great Zhao dynasty does not have many restrictions on underworld forces. As long as you abide by the rules and do things within the rules, the Great Zhao dynasty will turn a blind eye. As for whether you can survive in the capital, that depends on your own ability. At this time, in the room of the registration division, an old man was dozing off. The territory of the capital is so small. After many years of development, the territory and power in the capital are now clearly divided. If foreign forces want to intervene in the capital, either you have strong strength or you have a strong backing. So the registration office is relatively quiet. A young attendant walked in from outside, saw the sleepy old man, and whispered something in his ear. The sleepy old man suddenly perked up. Old man Liu, this is a special arrangement by Vice Palace Master Mu. If you do it well, you and I will be rewarded. The young attendant said with a smile. This money is not easy to earn. If you are not careful, bad luck is a small matter, but I'm afraid that there will be a big disaster of death. Old man Liu frowned and said. Old man Liu, you are too timid, just blocking them from making the registration. Does he dare to attack us and rob the registration by force? Said the young attendant. I don't know if they have the guts to rob, but the fact that the deputy hall master can order the other party to be arrested shows that this force is very strong and not simple. If we deliberately make things difficult and don't do it, you and I may not live to see tomorrow, said the old man Liu. Old man Liu, you are a bit alarmist. They dare to attack us. After all, we are from the Zenfu division. The young attendant couldn't help but refute. Since he entered the Zenfu division, the Jianghu forces in the capital and the Jianghu outside the capital have been respectful to them. He has strong confidence in the Zenfu division. You still have little experience, not to mention, haven't you heard recently? The two pavilion masters of the North Pavilion of the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower have arrived in the capital. From the news, the two pavilion masters who appeared are definitely strong men of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. Such a strong force, crushing you and me is as easy as crushing 2 ants. When the old man Liu said this, he couldn't help but sigh. Hearing what the old man Liu said, he remembered the news about the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower some time ago. The young man was also a little trembling in his heart. Then old Liu, what should we do? That person is already on the way. Don't you know how to take a rest? After entering Beijing, he will come to us. The young man complained. You said that the other party came directly to us. Hearing the young man say this, the old man Liu was shocked. No, I have to find a way to leave here. After saying that, he turned around and hit his head against the pillar on the wall, and a trace of blood suddenly appeared on his forehead. I'm injured. I'll go to Kinzubo to ask for leave. You kid, find a way to leave. After saying that, the old man Liu covered his head and walked out of the room. After a moment, old Liu, you get out of here. You can't do a little thing. I will go and take charge in person. Then a scolding voice came. The figure of the old man Liu immediately trotted out of the house. Then a man in an official robe walked out of the room, walked into the registration hall, and sat in the old man Liu's previous position. He glanced at the young man next to him. The young man didn't dare to say anything, but just stood behind him respectfully. Now the chief clerk of the Zenfu division's record-making hall is in charge in person. He is just a small soldier, but there are tall people to hold up the sky when it falls. This Kinzubo sat upright on the chair, exuding a faint aura. Although the chief clerk is just a small official and a civil official, His strength must reach the state of unity of spirit and soul to be competent. How long will it take for Bei Chaofei to arrive? Kinzubo said to the young attendant beside him. About 15 minutes. The young attendant replied. 15 minutes, an outside force actually made me wait for 15 minutes, Kinzubo snorted coldly. The person behind him is Deputy Hall Master Mu. Behind Deputy Hall Master Mu is the 7th Prince, who knows that the Golden Wind and Rain Tower is the object that the 7th Prince has specially ordered to embarrass. That's why he came here in person. Otherwise, even if old man Liu had a lot of blood on his head, he would not come. What happened in the record-making hall soon spread throughout the Zenfu division. Among them, in a tower, a man wearing the official uniform of the Deputy Hall Master of the Zenfu division was looking at the record-making hall. The man was in his 40s, with 2 neatly trimmed beards, and exuded an aura of majesty without anger. This man was Mu Zantang, one of the 5 Deputy Hall Masters of the Zenfu division, and also served as the commander of the Southern Zenfu division. The Southern Zenfu division was much stronger than the Northern Zenfu division. Therefore, in the Zenfu division, this Mu Zantang's official position was second only to the Hall Master of the Zenfu division. Bei Chaofei of the Jinfeng Xiao Tower has attracted the attention of many people in the capital. I really want to see what you do today, Mu Zantang said coldly. Time passed little by little. Bei Chaofei's carriage stopped not far from the gate of the Zenfu division. The Zenfu division did not allow carriages to go directly to the gate of the Zenfu division and set up carriage spaces not far from the Zenfu division. Bei Chaofei and Nalan Rangan got off the carriage. With his hands behind his back, he looked at the Zenfu division not far away, with a gleam in his eyes. This Bei Chaofei is quite handsome, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He can be my lover. A woman in a black long skirt and somewhat exposed body said in the dark, looking at Bei Chaofei who walked out of the carriage. This woman is one of the leaders of the Black Sparrow Pavilion in the capital. The Black Sparrow Pavilion is one of the 5 major intelligence agencies in the capital, and can be said to be one of the rivals of the Golden Wind and Rain Tower. Chapter 359, Night Emperor, in one breath, repelled the enemy. Bei Chaofei has fair complexion and sharp features. He is handsome and tall, and has an aloof aura that is very attractive. He is indeed capable of being a concubine. I didn't expect that Black Sparrow would want someone to be your concubine. Aren't you afraid that your man will tear you apart? A cold voice came out. The woman in the black skirt looked towards a place. Aren't you accompanying Helian Luo? How do you have time to come here? It was Lu Lianxi, the owner of Beihua Tower. Beihua Tower is also involved in intelligence trading, so these 2 people are somewhat rivals. Enter the Zenfu division. At this time, Bei Chaofei and Nalan Rangan had already stepped into the Zenfu division. The 2 looked at each other and quickly followed. Master, that's the Zaolu Hall. Before Nalan Rangan came, she had memorized the terrain of the Zenfu division. Inside the Zaolu Hall. At this time, Kinzubo of the Zaolu division had moved the table to the front of the door. Sitting on the bench, he looked coldly at Bei Chaofei who entered the pacification office, with a sneer on his face. He knew that someone was paying attention to the situation here, so he moved the desk to the door so that he could show himself. Let the Deputy Hall Master and the 7th Prince see his loyalty. Who are you? Why did you come to my registration office? When Bei Chaofei and the others approached, Kinzubo said, we are from Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower, and we are going to open a building in the capital and come to the registration office to register. Nalan Rangan said. Registration in the registration office is very simple. Just give your name number, register, and then get the registration. Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower, where are you going to open it? What do you mainly do? Kinzubo asked. According to the regulations of the Great Zhao Dynasty, the Jianghu forces do not need to ask so many questions. Nalan Rangan said coldly. Now I'm asking you, you just need to answer me. If you don't even have an address, then please go back. Kinzubo directly obstructed. Qin Mu, native of Xiling, settled in Huling, south of the capital, for 15 years. There are 15 people in his family, including 2 sons, 18 years old and 3 years old. I said this, you should understand what I mean. Give us the list, we will turn around and leave. Bei Chaofei said coldly at this time. The words were just introductions, but the tone was full of threats. This Betrayal is really bold. He actually threatened the chief clerk of the Zenfu division directly. This is a slap in the face of the Zenfu division. Let's see what the Zenfu division will do. Some of the people watching couldn't help but look at each other. Directly threatening the Zenfu division. This was only when the Great Zhao dynasty was established. There were such people, but those people have disappeared now. It seems that your boss is going to play. Lu Liangxi said to the woman in the black skirt. You underestimate the people arranged by the Golden Wind and Rain Tower. The woman in the black skirt said coldly, looking at the Zenfu division. At this time, on the pavilion, the deputy commander of the Zenfu division, Mu Zantang, flashed a cold light in his eyes. He didn't expect that Bei Chaofei would actually threaten the chief clerk of the Zenfu division directly. At this time, he had to come forward. When it comes to the majesty of the Zenfu division, a mere chief clerk can no longer bear it. His figure leaped out of the pavilion like a phantom. Bei Chaofei, you are so bold that you dare to threaten the chief clerk of the Zenfu division. Mu Zantang said sternly after landing. Mu Zantang, one of the 5 deputy hall masters of the Zenfu division, has the support of the 7th Prince Liu. Nalan Rangayan, who was beside Bei Chaofei, spoke. It seems that the 7th Prince has implicated my Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the failure of the 9 northern counties. The patent of the 7th Prince is a bit small. Bei Chaofei looked at Mu Zantang and said. Today, the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower needs to make a big noise. The bigger the noise, the better the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower will develop in the capital. This is also the reason why Bei Chaofei is so strong. HMPH, you threatened my staff of the Zenfu division. If you don't give me an explanation, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave this Zenfu division. Mu Zantang didn't say anything else, just said this. Threat. This is not called a threat, just telling the truth. It is your Zenfu division that is making things difficult for me. Golden Wind and Rain Tower. Golden Wind and Rain Tower came to the Zenfu division to register according to the regulations. You are making things difficult for us. We, Golden Wind and Rain Tower, are just telling the truth. Now that you, the Deputy Hall Master of the Zenfu division, have appeared, you should register us according to the regulations. If you, the Deputy Hall Master, don't follow the rules, I think our 2 pavilion masters will personally talk to your Zenfu division in person. Bei Chaofei's voice was very calm, but there was a threat in his calm tone. Mu Zantang looked at Bei Chaofei fiercely. He didn't expect that Bei Chaofei would still threaten him so strongly, even though he personally showed up. He didn't take him seriously at all. He didn't take the Zenfu division seriously either. This Mu Zantang is in trouble. Lu Liangxi, who was laughing before, became serious. Now it depends on the Zenfu division, or what Mu Zantang will do. Do you think Bei Chaofei did this beforehand, and planned to do it beforehand? The woman in the black skirt said in a deep voice. It's possible, but the Zenfu division is always the agency of the Great Zhao dynasty to manage the martial arts world. Bei Chaofei threatened the deputy hall master of the Zenfu division like this. Do they really want to fight? Lu Liangxi replied. How dare you? My Zenfu division has been established for so many years, and you, Bei Chaofei, are the first person who dares to threaten my Zenfu division like this. Today, I will suppress you in the Zenfu division. The murderous intent in Mu Zantang's eyes surged, and the aura of the 7 difficulties of heaven and man in his body burst out instantly. A huge airflow spread out in all directions with him as the center. Behind him, Qin Zubo was directly blown away by this airflow, and the table in front of him was also overturned and then shattered. Paper scraps flew all over the sky. Thunderous yin shapam. At the moment, when the confetti covered his eyes, Mu Zantang shouted in a low voice, rushed out, and slapped Bei Chaofei with one palm. The palm was thunderous with a dark evil force. Bei Chaofei did not move, because his strength was not as good as this person. He couldn't stop it even if he did, so it was better not to stop it. Of course, even if he didn't stop it, nothing would happen. At this time, 2 figures appeared in the Zenfu division without everyone seeing them clearly. One man and one woman. The man was wearing brocade clothes and had a noble temperament, and the woman was wearing a veil with a graceful figure and extraordinary temperament. The appearance of the two instantly attracted everyone's attention. After entering the Zen Fu division and taking a deep breath, a thunderous sound suddenly appeared in his abdomen, and then he spit it out directly. A huge airflow formed a giant elephant in the air, and the giant elephant roared and roared, colliding with Muzantang's fist. Bang, the fist force was shaken away, and then Muzantang's figure was directly blasted out by the giant elephant formed by this airflow and hit the wall. For a while, the pacification office was very quiet. Everyone looked at GD with horror. Chapter 360, Pacification Division, Gaoyang Xiang, and the Sky Hammer Tribe. Muzantang's strength is the 7 difficulties of heaven and man, but he was knocked back by a breath. The strength of the person who made the move is extremely strong. This person should be the Pavilion Master of the North Pavilion of Xian'ai Pavilion, ED. Some people in the dark thought to themselves, ED and future of Xian'ai Pavilion were previously rumored to appear in the capital. Many people have never seen them, but they did not expect that they would appear in the Zen Fu division today and make a move. Puff. When everyone was shocked, Muzantang spurted out a mouthful of blood. He stood up with difficulty and looked at ED with horror. His strength was really vulnerable in front of the other party. Although the other party is strong, it is also his shame. After today, he may lose his position as the Deputy Hall Master of the Zen Fu division. To destroy someone's future is like killing his parents. Thinking of this, a hatred appeared in his heart. Many times, people's hatred can make people resist the fear in their hearts. This is the Zen Fu division. You dare to attack. If the Zen Fu division lets you leave today, it will lose face. The Zen Fu division's Xianchu group has appeared. Muzantang growled. What does this Muzantang want to do? He wants to use the Xianchu group. Hearing Muzantang's growl, the spectators were shocked. At this time, in the highest pavilion of the Zen Fu division, 5 people were standing there. The leader was wearing a purple and gold robe. He was burly and huge, like a lion. His hard face showed a domineering aura. It was really the head of the Zen Fu division's main hall, Gaoyang Xiang. At this time, Gaoyang Xiang's face was a little ugly. On the one hand, Emperor Yi was shocked by Muzantang's appearance, and on the other hand, Muzantang actually wanted to use the Xianchu group. The Xianchu group is one of the 3 major groups of the Zen Fu division. The Xianchu group is a group of extreme body refining warriors who practice the 3 major heavy weapons in the Zen Fu division. The Golden Hammer. The number of people has remained at 30 all year round. Once these people's blood and ki decline, they will be quickly replaced. They practice together, live together, and go out together. They can attack at the same time and drop hammers at the same time, and one blow will shake the world. The General Shinran Jiun and Strongman are not able to resist the attack of these 30 people. They either flee, or are hammered to death. The Zen Fu division does not rely solely on the strength of the giants. Relying on the strength of the giants cannot help Emperor Zhao deal with the affairs of the rivers and lakes. Muzantang is a deputy hall master of the Zen Fu division, whose status is second only to his, and has the power to mobilize the Xianchu tribe. Hall master, do you want to stop it? A young man in white clothes sit at the position where he was about to attack. The young man was Li Zichen, the mother of the 9th prince, the Jiangbai Li family, who had just become one of the Zen Fu division. This ED is so arrogant that he doesn't take my Zen Fu division seriously. Let the Xianchu tribe take action to see if he has the capital to be arrogant. Beside him, a man with only one arm said, "This person is the retainer of the 12th prince, the one-armed swordsman Yan Zishan." Yan Zishan's figure was not too burly at the moment, but the blood evil on his body was very thick. As for the other 2, they did not speak. Now everything depends on the Hall Master Gaoyang Xiang. Gaoyang Xiang is the chief Hall Master of the Zen Fu division. His strength is in the heaven and man 9 difficulties, and he is also a giant in the Zen Fu division. He can be on par with the people behind the Zen Fu division. No, I also want to see the strength of this Night Emperor. Gaoyang Xiang said in a deep voice. Night Emperor is so arrogant in the Zen Fu division, and he really needs to be beaten. If he is beaten to death, it can only be said that Night Emperor does not have the strength to be arrogant, and he is just looking for death. Jinfeng Xiao Tao will obediently roll out of the capital. Originally, the Zen Fu division is now in a passive stage. Mirren King Chen was killed, and the Princess of Danliang was killed. Among them, Mirren King Chen has been dealt with by the 4th prince, but the Princess of Danliang and the 7th prince want them to give an answer to the Zenfu division. Now there is no clue at all, and it is in a headache stage. Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower came to the capital at this time. What is it trying to do? To cause trouble for him? At this time, not long after Mu Zhangtang's voice fell, a series of urgent voices quickly gathered here. Where these voices came from, a strong bloody aura rushed over, and then 30 people wearing tight clothes embroidered with golden hammers appeared. They all held a silver hammer in their hands, and there were some blood stains on the silver hammers. It seemed that they had killed a lot of people before they were left. These people were burly, and their muscles were like the roots of old trees. Really send out the heavenly hammers. This is a rhythm of hammering. Emperor of the Night, to death. It seems that there will be a good show to watch today. Lu Liangxi looked at the 30 people who appeared in the Zenfu division, and couldn't help saying, now it depends on how Emperor of the Night breaks the silver hammers of these 30 people. Normally, Shanren Jiunan will have no problem leaving when encountering these people. But this Emperor of the Night is challenging the Zenfu division. He can't withdraw. Once he withdraws, Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower will not have a foothold in the capital. Just turn around and leave. The woman in the black skirt next to her said. Do you think this Emperor of the Night can stop the people of the Skyhammer tribe? Who knows? But this Emperor of the Night is also arrogant. Otherwise, AOAO should be able to get the list normally. I guess he is used to being arrogant outside. He doesn't know how to restrain himself when he comes to the capital. Some people said coldly. Not really. You see that Emperor of the Night doesn't seem to have any change in his expression. It seems that he is very confident in himself. Some people looked at the expression of the Emperor of the Night and found that the Emperor of the Night was very calm, without any fluctuation. At this time, the Emperor of the Night looked at the future and couldn't help but say, back in Changchun Island, you set up the Great Zhaoshan Absolute God formation, and I didn't break it in 3 hours. How long do you think it will take me to break through this group of 30 people of the Skyhammer tribe? The Emperor of the Night was attached to the future and vainly hoped to get the future and break into the Changchun Island. However, the future didn't dare to fight alone and gathered the strength of more than 100 masters on the island to set up the Great Zhaoshan Absolute God formation. As long as Yi could break the Absolute God formation, she would let Yi deal with her. If he could not break the formation within 3 hours, she would have to completely let her deal with her. Yi was already exhausted when crossing the sea, and he knew that 3 hours was too short. Although he knew that the oath was extremely unfair, he was tempted by future's conditions and could not refuse. In a battle, the bet failed, but he had to keep his promise, lose his freedom, and be trapped in Eternal Spring Island. The strength of these 30 people is not as good as my 100 strong men. Get rid of these people as soon as possible. We are not being treated like monkeys. Future said. Although these 30 people are strong, they are nothing in Future's eyes. She looked at the high pavilion of the pacification division. There was a person there who was not weak and worthy of their attack. Okay. Hearing what Future said, Yi stepped forward, and a terrifying energy burst out from Yi. Although Yi likes quietness, his skills are indeed domineering. Powerful energy burst out from his body like a storm, and then this overbearing energy was like a vast ocean, a violent storm, and pressed towards the 30 members of the Skyhammer tribe. Chapter 361. Defeat the Skyhammer with one palm. In the future, defeat Aang Xiang. The violent energy that escaped went outside. Suddenly, those who were watching the fight were blown by the energy and were a little unstable. How could his energy be so strong? It is several times stronger than the average Heavenly 9 difficulties. No wonder he dared to come to the pacification department. Sensing the energy that erupted from the Night Emperor, Lu Liangxi opened her eyes wide with an expression of disbelief. When she was surprised, the Night Emperor soared into the air, raised his palm. He slapped out with one palm. Suddenly, the sky and the earth seemed to change color vaguely at the moment he slapped out. Then everyone saw that the energy in the Night Emperor's hand was like a vast river slapping at everyone. First, the 30 people of the Skyhammer were suppressed by the energy, and their eyes were red at this moment. Roar. They roared at the same time. Then the 30 people raised their silver hammers at the same time, and the blood and energy in their bodies burned wildly. The powerful blood formed a blood gang, and blasted out with one hammer. The blood and energy were like a dragon, slapping the palm of the Night Emperor. Bang! The two forces collided, and Emperor of the Night fell to the ground. The 30 Skyhammer tribe members flew backwards and hit the ground. The silver hammers in their hands fell, and the blood vessels on their arms burst, and blood flowed. Puff. 30 people spit out blood at the same time. With one blow, the long famous Skyhammer tribe of the Zenfu division was defeated. At this time, not only those on the platform, but also some other people watching the battle were shocked in an instant. This Emperor of the Night is really too strong. After everyone was surprised, they couldn't help but think at the same time. Their eyes couldn't help but look at the pavilion of the Zenfu division. The Skyhammer tribe of the Zenfu division failed. Does the Zenfu division have to send out 2 more tribes? Or the chief hole master of the Zenfu division will take action? Or the giant behind the Zenfu division will take action? But even if the giant takes action, it may not be the opponent of Emperor of the Night. He has consumed a lot of energy in his body. Gao Xiang of the Zenfu division should have a chance of winning if he takes action now. At this time, Lu Liangxi spoke. Don't forget that when Emperor Knight came, there was another person, and that person should be future Emperor Knight, and future seem to be equally famous, and their strength should be equal, or even if they are not equal, they are almost the same. It can be seen from this Emperor Knight that he should be a strong man who has entered the 9 difficulties of heaven and man for a long time. How could he come out now? The woman in black dress frowned. Compared with Lu Liangxi, the Black Sparrow Pavilion of this woman in black dress is more focused on intelligence than Lu Liangxi's 100 Flowers Tower. So she thought more at this moment. If there is no one else, then take out the registration list. Emperor Knight said to Kinzubo, who was already too frightened and trembling all over. Hearing what Emperor Knight said, Kinzubo's legs and feet trembled, and he wanted to move his body, but he couldn't move. Why are you still holding on at this time? Take out the registration list. Seeing this situation, some people looked at Kinzubo and thought to themselves. But Kinzubo's legs were like lead, and he couldn't walk at all. How could he take it? This Kinzubo is really a man of integrity. He won't take it even now. Some people immediately admired Kinzubo. He was able to resist such a powerful Emperor of the Night. They really admired him. I want to move, but I can't. Kinzubo shouted in his heart, but he didn't dare to speak out. On the pavilion, Gao Xiang's eyes showed a fierce light. At this time, if he didn't take action, the Zenfu division would really lose face. Boom. He jumped directly from the pavilion, stepped on the roof, and finally landed in the courtyard. Come on, carry all the injured inside for recuperation. Gao Xiang spoke at the moment he fell. His voice was loud and full of energy, which made the nervous people relax immediately. Some people came out one after another to take the injured away. I'm Xiang, the chief hole master of the Zenfu division. You two must be the 2 pavilion masters of the North Pavilion of Xian'ai Pavilion. I already know the intention of the 2 of you to break into my Zenfu division today. Let's fight. No matter who wins or loses, I will personally present the list. Gao Xiang said. While speaking, he looked at Yi. Okay, I lose. No list. Turn around and leave. Yi didn't say anything. Ren Hao, who was beside Yi, stepped forward and spoke. Ren Hao is a figure who is not inferior to Yi. She and Yi are one quiet and one active, and they are respected in the martial arts world. Although she is a peaceful person, she also has the confidence of a strong person. Hearing Ren Hao say this, Gao Xiang narrowed his eyes slightly, but his heart was full of fierceness. He gave Ren Hao Yi face and said that he would list them regardless of the victory or defeat. That is to make a draw with you. This way, their Zenfu division can step down with face. But this future wants to decide the winner, and it wants to step on their Zenfu division to gain a foothold in the capital. Then let me see your strength, future. Gao Xiang said coldly. Boom. As he spoke, He kicked the ground with his foot, and his figure shot out like a tyrannosaurus, and his fist was full of bloody aura. The aura was violent, covering future. Although you may be very strong, after all, how can a woman stop his violent aura? When Brother Raohang attacked, the aura in his body was like boiling water, constantly bursting out with thunderous roars. These auras urged the blood and ki in his fist. The aura of blood turned into blood-colored flames, with a breath of burning in all directions. Future's eyes condensed slightly, and the aura in his body was restrained, but those suppressed auras passed by him, as if they were separated. Then he raised his palm and rushed up. He did not dodge, but took it hard. Boom. The palms collided at this moment. Yao Xiang's ki was like a flame, while Refuture's ki had water ripples, but it was still extremely strong. This ki was just like her temper. In an instant, they began to compete. This Refuture actually competed with Brother Raohang in ki. Some people looked at this situation and couldn't help but be surprised. They really didn't expect it to be like this. Boom. As time went by, the first one who couldn't hold on was actually Yao Xiang. He wanted to withdraw his ki, but the opponent's ki was continuous and didn't give him a chance to withdraw. Bang. In the end, Yao Xiang was shocked and stepped back several steps. Yao Xiang retreated. His face was very bad, and he wanted to move forward again, but he stopped. He raised his hand and grabbed it, and the record book on the table was sucked into his hand and flew directly to Refuture. Today's chess game was a step short. I'll teach you again in the future. After saying that, he turned and entered the Zenfu division. Watching Yao Xiang disappear, the spectators were silent at this moment. Yao Xiang was defeated, and the reputation of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower will surely spread throughout the capital tomorrow. Contact us after Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower opens. After saying that, later handed the list to Bai Xiaofei, and he turned to Yi Di and left. Today, they defeated the Zenfu division, but they didn't know whether the Zenfu division would secretly attack them, so they left the capital. They would not underestimate the strength of the great Zhao dynasty. Chapter 362, The Tang family of Sichuan and Shu, the 5 giants of the pacification division. The capital, the residence of the Prince of Long, which is also the residence of the 4th prince. After the 9 regent princes of the great Zhao dynasty opened their residences, they were granted the title of the Prince of Long. It was also a recognition of their status. In the spacious hall, Emperor Knight and Future coerced the pacification department and took the registration book from Yao Xiang. The 4th Prince Liu Long spoke with surprise. In fact, he was not optimistic about the opening of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower in the capital. Many people in the capital did not want the Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower, a force of unknown origin, to open a building in the capital. Now Emperor Knight and Future of Xian'an Pavilion coerced the pacification department, and it can be said that they have made a name for themselves in the capital. Teacher, how do you think the people of the pacification department will treat Emperor Knight and that Future? The 4th Prince Liu Long looked at an old man wearing a green silk gown and a mighty look not far away. The old man was sitting on the armchair, his eyes half closed, as if he was half asleep. Hearing the words of the 4th Prince Liu Long, the half-closed old man opened his eyes. He said to the person who was reporting to the 4th Prince, "Where are Emperor Knight and Future now?" Reporting to Elder Tang, Emperor Knight and Future have left the city. After leaving the city, their whereabouts are unknown. The person who came hurriedly replied, "Being domineering, there is caution, but Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower has lost the face of the 7th Prince this time. I think the 7th Prince will not let these 2 people leave easily. Also, Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower has a grudge with the Money Gang. When the Money Gang recently contacted the 7th Prince, it also contacted the Grand Tutor's mansion, so this time they will take action against Emperor Knight and Future. This matter has nothing to do with us. Our focus now is to find out the person behind Huanquan Bugi. If we can't find it, we will control Huanquan Bugi in our hands." While speaking, Elder Tang opened his eyes. His eyes were as bright as a lion or tiger. "I will do this myself." The old man stood up while he was speaking. When the old man stood up, he was taller than the 7th Prince, and his aura was like a tide, as if he was going to annihilate people. This old man Tang was the 4th prince's martial arts teacher. His strength had reached the 9th level of heaven and man very early, and he could be said to be a veteran of the 9th level of heaven and man. Of course, this old man was not an ordinary person, but the ancestor of the Tang family, the first family in Sichuan and Shu. Teacher is going to take action, so King Chen's revenge should be avenged. The 4th Prince Liu Long showed a happy expression on his face. Has there been any news about the death of Princess Daniyang? I just suspect that it is related to the people in the Grand Tutor's mansion, but there is no subsequent news. The person who came replied, there is something strange about the death of Princess Daniyang. I don't think it was done by the people behind Huangquan Beauty. It feels like a frame up. The old man said in a deep voice. Keep watching. The old man then said to the person who reported it. Yes. The visitor echoed, and then bowed and left the hall. After the visitor left, the 4th Prince Liu Long stepped forward and said, Teacher, who do you think is framing the people in the Grand Tutor's mansion? He wants the Grand Tutor to fight with the 7th brother. But the 7th brother looks impulsive on the surface, but he is actually very thoughtful. He will not think that Princess Daniyang was killed by the people in the Grand Tutor's mansion. The 4th Prince Liu Long said, this is not important. As long as the person who killed Princess Daniyang is not caught, then this matter may be borne by the guest of the Grand Tutor's mansion. Elder Tang then said, didn't Mei Zuanshan go to Lingnan County? Now she is in Shanmen. What news has been received from her? There is news from Zuanshan that her injuries are recovering. It's just that the effect of contacting Su Chen is not very good. The 4th Prince Liu Long said, no one can become a hegemon easily. Su Chen was actually selected by the Qinglan Club. It is definitely not simple. You have to maintain a good relationship with the other party. The old Tang said. At this point, an angry look appeared on his face. Who killed King Chen? Damn it. If Miran King Chen didn't die, then after Su Chen became the martial arts leader of the 9 northern counties, they could cooperate with Su Chen. There was no need to consider the martial arts leader of the 9 northern counties like now. Send a message to Mei Zuanshan, continue to test Su Chen, and see if he can cooperate with us. Old Tang said, I will contact Zuanshan, but don't we need to suppress the teacher Changhan Palace? Some people have jumped out, and are ready to cooperate with other princes. The 4th Prince Liu Long said, these people are not worth worrying about. When the time comes, we will eliminate them. The old Tang said coldly. After speaking, the old Tang continued to sit back on the chair. Zen Fu Division. Deep inside the palace. 5 people sat on the chairs in the palace, 2 on one side and 3 on the other. These 5 people are the 5 giants behind the Zen Fu Division, among whom Yang Xiang and Helian Lu are. I can't let the future and the Night Emperor of Xian'ai Pavilion leave the range of the capital. If we let them leave, our Zen Fu Division will lose its pressure. Yang Xiang said in a deep voice, I agree with Brother Yang's proposal. Although the Night Emperor is strong, the Xianchu tribe has also made his aura fluctuate. The 2 of us should be able to kill him together. As for the future, Brother Yang should be able to surround and kill him with the Sword Tribe. Next to Brother Yang, a young man wearing a snow white mink said. The man's face was white, like crystal, but his eyes were not like those of a young man. This man was one of the 5 giants of the Zen Fu Division, named Liu Mufeng, a disciple of the current Taishi. Although he looked young, he was actually over 60 years old and his strength was at the level of Shanren Jiunan. In fact, the strength of the 5 giants of the Zen Fu Division was all at the level of Shanren Jiunan, not Jiunan, and they could not become the giants behind the Zen Fu Division at all. Brother Liu, the Night Emperor and the future of Xian'ai Pavilion defeated our Zen Fu Division. If we kill them, the Xian'ai Pavilion behind them may fight to the death with our Zen Fu Division. The capital is in a strange situation now. I think it is not appropriate for us to establish a strong enemy. Helian Lu said at this time. Helian Xiaoyao has a relationship with Bei Chaofu of Jinfeng Xiaoyuta. Helian Lu is also thinking of using Helian Xiaoyao's relationship to establish a relationship with Xian'ai Pavilion behind Jinfeng Xiaoyuta. Night Emperor and the future are only the 2 pavilion masters of the North Pavilion of Xian'ai Pavilion. This means that Xian'ai Pavilion has at least 8 strong men. This is a very powerful force. I agree with Brother Helian's idea. Now that Princess King Chen and Princess Tan Yang have been in trouble, someone wants to unsettle the capital. At this time, if we make too many enemies in the pacification department, I'm afraid someone will take advantage of us. A man in a black brocade robe said beside Helian Luo. Brother Guo, what do you think about this? Gao Yang Xiang, who had spoken earlier, looked at the man who was sitting and didn't speak. This man was wearing a brocade official robe and was a commander of the palace front department of the Great Zhao dynasty. Although his official position was not as high as Helian Luo's, he was a relative of the royal family. Chapter 363, Dragon Blood Pill. Blood condensed dragon induces, Qinglang Temple. The Zen Fu division represents the Great Zhao dynasty and cannot be insulted. The man in the official robe said. His words agreed with the suggestions of Ao Yang Xiang and Liu Mufeng. Helian Luo was startled and looked at the black-robed man beside him, wanting to speak. Lord Helian, as the lord of the Great Zhao dynasty, you should know that the majesty of the dynasty cannot be insulted. When he wanted to speak, the man in the official robe spoke. I, Helian Luo, still hold an opposing opinion on this matter. If you want to take action, I, Helian Luo, will not stop you, but I, Helian Luo, will not take action. Helian Luo said. I will not participate in this matter. The next 3 of you will discuss the following matters on your own, but the remaining 2 major groups of the Zen Fu division are not allowed to be mobilized. After all, Xian'ai Pavilion is not on the wanted list of my Zen Fu division yet. The black-robed man next to Helian Luo said. After speaking, he turned to Helian Luo and said, Brother Helian, let's go. Helian Luo nodded, and the 2 turned and left. Helian Luo, Ren Chunfeng, you have other ideas. I have to report to the queen that they are not suitable for the pacification division. The man in the official robe said as he watched the 2 people leave. Brother Guo, the pacification division should not cause trouble for the queen. We are looking forward to help us with you. It will not be difficult to kill them with the combined strength of 5 people. Brother Ao Yang, you must find out the whereabouts of Emperor Knight and Future. Liu Mufeng said. I have arranged people to find them. As long as they are near the capital, they will be found in 3 days. Gao Yang Xiang said confidently. Okay. Then we will each do our own thing. The 3 of them turned around and left. Lingnan County. A bright moon hung high in the sky. Su Chen looked at the secret letter sent by Yuan Suan. His expression changed slightly. Emperor Knight and Future pressured the pacification division, took away the list, and beat the momentum of Golden Wind and Rain Tower and Xian'ai Pavilion. Now Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower has opened in the capital, and its reputation has spread throughout the Great Zhao dynasty. Su Chen shattered the secret letter and walked to the window. The cold moonlight shone through the window onto his body, making him feel a little chilly. The capital is the core stage of the Great Zhao dynasty, but Emperor Knight and Future are so bullying the pacification department. I'm afraid the pacification department will not give up. I don't know if Emperor Knight and Future can withstand the next storm. Su Chen murmured. After closing the window, Su Chen turned and entered the room. He sat cross-legged on the bed. A pill appeared in his hand. The pill was blood-colored, and some blood mist flowed on the pill. When the blood mist flowed, it formed a shadow of a blood dragon. The shadow of the blood dragon appeared, and a bloody aura continued to emanate from the middle, filling the entire room. This is a very special pill that Yuan Suan recently obtained outside, called Dragon Blood Pill, which can help Qi and blood practitioners purify the Qi and blood power in their bodies. It is a pill made in a place called Dragon Blood Valley in the Great Zhao dynasty. Of course, this pill is not really made with dragon blood, but with a precious medicine that looks like a dragon in the Dragon Blood Valley. It is said that the Dragon Blood Valley will only make a furnace of dragon blood pills every 10 years, and at most 10 pills will be produced each time, all for the people in the valley. It is rarely spread outside. The reason why Yuan Suan gave the dragon blood pill to Su Chen is because Su Chen had previously obtained a method from the blood-sucking dragon picture to condense the blood in his body into dragon blood. But blood condensation is not so easy. This dragon blood pill can help Su Chen do this to a certain extent. Su Chen took the dragon blood pill, and as soon as the dragon blood pill entered his mouth, it turned into a rolling blood-colored airflow, pouring into Su Chen's body. These blood qi, which looks thick, are extremely gentle and pure, flowing in his blood vessels. Su Chen immediately operated the formula obtained from the blood-sucking dragon picture and began to operate these blood-colored energies. There are about 250 trillion blood vessels in the human body, which is extremely large. Su Chen couldn't condense all the blood in his blood vessels into dragon blood at once. He first practiced in his arms. The blood energy in his arms merged with the blood energy and began to melt. When melting, the blood began to boil and burn. In this constant burning, a blood-colored dragon phantom appeared in the boiling blood. With the appearance of the blood-colored dragon blood shadow, a faint blood-colored dragon pattern appeared on his arm. Su Chen didn't pay attention to these. His mind was focused on the blood-colored dragon phantom in the blood of his arm. The blood-colored dragon phantom appeared and began to swallow and spit out blood, helping him to purify the blood in his blood vessels. As the blood continued to swallow and spit out, he felt that his blood had changed. If his blood had fallen on the ground before, the ground would not change at all. But if the blood swallowed and spit out from the mouth of the dragon phantom dripped on the ground, it would definitely drip out a small hole. Of course, blood is flowing, and after these blood flows out, they become diluted and cannot be sensed. But if over time, or the number of blood dragon phantoms will increase, at that time, the changes in blood will be extremely obvious. Su Chen's face showed joy. He continued to condense, trying to condense a few more phantom dragons. Time passed little by little. The next morning, Su Chen slowly opened his eyes. With the help of the dragon blood pill, he practiced all night and only condensed 3 blood dragon phantoms, which was a little less. It seems that I have to get this dragon blood pill from the dragon blood valley, or a pill with the same effect as this dragon blood pill. Su Chen thought to himself. Suddenly, he showed joy on his face. Because unconsciously, the energy in his body actually increased. It raised his realm to the heaven and man. Not bad. Su Chen got up, washed up simply, and ate something. Came to the headmaster hall. Zhu Zhengwo, Xiao Qiushu, and Yuan Suan were all in the headmaster hall. Is there any movement over at Qinglang Temple? Su Chen said. It had been a while since the news of the relic was released, and he wanted to know if there was any movement at Qinglang Temple. Master, there is no movement in Qinglang Temple. Zhu Zhengwo said. No movement. They are not interested in the relic? Su Chen frowned slightly. They should have guessed that it might be me, Qinglang Society, who secretly spread this matter. Zhu Zhengwo said. In that case, then let the relic out and see if they are interested. You and Xiao Qiushu will do this together. Qinglang Temple, we have to solve it as soon as possible. Su Chen said. I will arrange it immediately. Zhu Zhengwo nodded and left the hall with Xiao Qiushu. Master, Wu Demon, has received news that the ghost domain has ideas about them after the evacuation of Jinfeng Xiao Tower. Dugu Wudi is preparing to take the initiative and take down the ghost domain. He wants to ask Liu Shengaijian to go to the frontier to help. At this time, Yuan Suan reported. Okay, you go and notify Liu Shengaijian. Su Chen nodded. After Liu Shengaijian appeared, he has been practicing in the back mountain of Shanmen. Chapter 364 Taizan Tang Experience Card, Night Emperor's Intentions. After giving the order, Su Chen suddenly felt that he was still short of manpower. Fighting on 3 fronts, the personnel were not concentrated. In fact, it was very dangerous. He took a look at the 5 orange lottery cards he had recently obtained. Su Chen did not hesitate to draw these orange lottery cards. Congratulations on getting 4 bottles of dragon blood pills. Note: 4 per bottle, and a Taizan Tang experience card. Su Chen was startled when he saw this. He did not expect that this time the harvest was only 4 bottles of dragon blood pills and a Taizan Tang experience card. Taizan Tang experience card. Su Chen looked at Taizan Tang's information, and the system determined that Taizan Tang's strength was at the level of heaven and man. Although the dragon blood pill and Taizan Tang's experience card were useful to him, they had no effect on the overall situation. At this time, Mei Zuanshan walked into the hall under the guidance of a disciple. Congratulations on your recovery. Su Chen sensed the breath on Mei Zuanshan and congratulated her. Thanks to the elixir sent by the 4th prince, Su Chen, I came here this time because the fourth prince sent a letter. He hopes to cooperate with the Qinglang Club. Many Zuanshang said. Now the situation in the capital has changed. I have heard that the two pavilion masters of Golden Wind and Rain Tower have overwhelmed the pacification department. At this time, we, Qinglang Club, will not go to the capital. Su Chen said. The main goal of Qinglang Club now is how to suppress Qinglang Temple out of the 9 northern counties. In fact, it is a bit unlikely to suppress the other party and make them move. In the end, they may have to use force. Although Qinglang Temple is in seclusion, it has its foundation and strength, and it is not so easy to deal with. The fourth prince did not mean to let you go to the capital, but just confirmed the cooperation. Many Zuanshang said. Is that so? But what benefits will we get from cooperating with the fourth prince? Su Chen said. The world is bustling for profit. Why should he, Qinglang Club, cooperate with something that has no benefits? It depends on what you want. Money, precious medicine, the fourth prince can provide them. Of course, he can also trade with a Qinglang Club to help you. Qinglang Club quickly change money into other things. Many Zuanshang said. In fact, the fourth prince cooperated with the Qinglang Club mainly for 2 reasons. One is that there are many masters of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man in the Qinglang Club. In this way, in an emergency, the Qinglang Club can be asked for help. The second is that he is interested in the rewards that the Qinglang Club gets for killing people. The rewards of the Qinglang Club are all in cash. If he exchanges all this silver, then his strength will be enhanced invisibly. The fourth prince is really a smart man. I will report this matter. Su Chen seemed to understand what many Zuanshang said. Now the rewards obtained by the Qinglang Club and Golden Wind and Rain Tower have all been transferred to the bank built by Shanman, used for the expansion of the bank. Thank you very much. By the way, you are familiar with Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. Tell them that it is not so easy to enter the capital. This time, Emperor Yi and Future have overwhelmed the pacification division. But it is not necessarily possible to safely leave the capital. Many Zuanshang said. It is best for us outsiders not to get involved in the affairs of Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. It is not something we can get involved in. Su Chen shook his head. He did not want to be too familiar with Golden Wind and Drizzle Tower. Is that so? Then I will wait for your news, but I will leave here. Many Zuanshang said. Return to Changhan Palace, or return to the capital? Su Chen asked. Return to Changhan Palace. It is time to deal with those people in Changhan Palace who are thinking of leaving. Many Zuanshang secretly received a message from her mother. The palace master of Changhan Palace, who had been in seclusion, had secretly come out to clean up Changhan Palace, so she also had to return to Changhan Palace. Actually, there are some things I don't understand. I wonder if Palace Master Many can help me solve my doubts. At this time, Su Chen spoke up. Just tell me, it's okay. Many Zuanshang didn't know what Su Chen was going to ask, but she knew that what Su Chen was asking was probably not a simple matter. The emperor of the Zhao dynasty has been in seclusion for about 10 years and has not appeared. There are some rumors that the emperor of Zhao might be. Su Chen asked. Su Chen was a little puzzled about the emperor of Zhao. I can tell you that the emperor of Zhao should be fine. 10 years ago, the emperor of Zhao was in seclusion, mainly because he found a way to break through the 9 difficulties of heaven and man and reach a higher realm. Many Zuanshang said. The method above the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. Hearing this, Su Chen showed a slight surprise on his face, but his heart was very calm. The emperor of Zhao was born as a warrior and became a generation of emperors with his own powerful strength. In order to break through the 9 difficulties of heaven and man and enter a higher realm, it is normal to go into seclusion. Yes, as for the method, don't ask me, I don't know either. I have to hurry back to Changhan Palace, so I won't stay here. When you get a reply from the Qinglang Society, send me a pigeon. After saying that, Mei Zuanshang said goodbye to Su Chen and turned to leave. Su Chen returned to his residence with Mei Zuanshang and finally sent her out of Shan Gate. The Lord of Changhan Palace came out at this time. Is the fourth prince making any moves? Looking at the back of Mei Zuanshan leaving, he thought to himself. However, these things have nothing to do with him. He still has to pay attention to Qinglang Temple. In his mind, if the relic is released and Qinglang Temple has not made any moves, then he will sneak into Qinglang Temple to see if he can't secretly control some monks of Qinglang Temple. At that time, let these monks walk out of Qinglang Temple and do something else. In that case, he can use this as an excuse to arrange Qinglang Temple. Of course, when dealing with Qinglang Temple, Chen can't forget some opponents. It is the 13 counties of Lingjiang controlled by Xiangxia League next to the 9 counties in the north. Lingjiang has 4 more counties than the 9 counties in the north. If it were not for the Qinglang Temple, Xiangxia League would have taken over the 9 counties in the north long ago. Although Xiangxia League lost 2 deputy leaders, the leader of Xiangxia League is still there, and it can still control the 13 counties of Lingjiang. Once Xiangxia League takes the initiative to use a leader order, it can command the 13 counties of Lingjiang. Although they have not received any movement from Xiangxia League, it does not mean that Xiangxia League is not doing anything. Of course, it is also possible that Xiangxia League may be watching them fight with Qinglang Temple, thinking of taking action when both sides are defeated. So we must pay close attention. At this time, in a courtyard outside the capital city, Yi and Rihao are in it. Yi, do you really think that the forces behind Huanquan Bubi will contact us? Rihao looked at Yi and said. They overwhelmed the Zenfu division. Although the Zenfu division did not attack at that time, it does not mean that they will not take action. The Great Zhao Dynasty is a very complicated place. Moreover, when she left the Zenfu division, she also sensed 3 aura fluctuations of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man in the Zenfu division. One of these 3 auras was stronger than Aang Xiang, so she was still afraid of the Zenfu division. Moreover, there were many masters in the capital, and they could find some helpers. They might not be able to leave the capital. Of course, they stayed here because Yi believed that the people behind Huanquan Bubi would contact them. In this way, they could join forces with Huanquan Bubi. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365. The Evil Alliance appears. Proposal for cooperation. Huanquan Buji appeared in the capital. Now that the 2 of them have overwhelmed the Zenfu division, it can be said that they are enemies with the Zenfu division of the capital. If the people of the Zenfu division of the capital cannot kill them or suppress them, then how can they save their face? The Zenfu division represents the Great Zhao Dynasty no matter what. Someone is coming, and I don't sense the killing intention. It should be the person we are waiting for. When the voice fell, Yi spoke. At this time, the future also sensed 2 breaths. Looked in one place. Under their attention, 2 figures fell directly to the ground. One of the old men was the old man who hid in the dark when Huanquan Buji ambushed and killed the 4th prince. The other person was a woman in a white long skirt. The woman was extremely beautiful. The dark eyebrows were like paintings, the eyes were like stars in the water, the red lips were like gems, the neck was slender, the chest was slightly erect, and the legs were slender and straight. There was only a hint of femininity in the corners of the mouth, which made the other party full of some evil. You two, this is not the place you should come to. Yi looked at the 2 people with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Although these 2 people were the ones he was waiting for, he could not show it. Yida later, we 2 are from the Evil Alliance. I'm Lu Yun, and this is the Fairy Zuhan. The old man introduced. Evil Alliance. Hearing the old man's words, Yi frowned slightly. He has been in this world for a long time. He has been familiar with the information of some martial arts sects in the Great Zhao Dynasty, but he has never heard of the Evil Alliance. So Yi, there is no need to look it up. Our Evil Alliance is the same as your Xian'ai Pavilion, and it has just reappeared in the world. The old man said. He compared the Evil Alliance with Xian'ai Pavilion. I don't know. What are you two doing here? Yi frowned. Cooperation. This time you two have overwhelmed the Zenfu division, and the Zenfu division should not let you leave the capital. Can we cooperate to ambush the people coming from the Zenfu division? The old man continued. It seems that the crisis in the capital now was caused by you. I want to know what your purpose is? Yi looked at the old man and said, the changes in the capital are a vortex, but it also reveals that things are not simple. Chen will definitely enter the capital in the end, so we must know what the other party wants to do. It doesn't matter if you tell your excellency. Our target is the Zhao Emperor of the Great Zhao Dynasty. The Zhao Emperor has been in seclusion for 10 years, and then use the luck of the Great Zhao Dynasty to help him step out of the realm of heaven and man. Once he steps out of the realm of heaven and man, I'm afraid that all the strong people like us in the world will be suppressed. The old man said. Hearing the old man's words, Yi frowned slightly. He believed that he could break through by using the luck of the dynasty. But Yi then said in a deep voice, there are many strong people in the court of the Great Zhao Dynasty. Although I have suppressed the Zenfu division, once I kill the people of the Zenfu division, I'm afraid I will have to face many people in the Great Zhao Dynasty. Are you afraid, Excellency? Since we are already enemies, why are you afraid? At this time, the Blood Rainbow Fairy spoke. Fear. I, Emperor Yi, have never been afraid, but if you kill the people from the pacification department, my Shionaya pavilions, Golden Wind and Rain Tower, will probably have a hard time gaining a foothold in the capital. Emperor Yi snorted coldly. Now the forces in the court are complicated. There are 5 big bosses in the pacification department, and 3 of them want to attack you. 2 of these 3 cannot be killed, but Aoyang Xiang can be killed. Aoyang Xiang was appointed by Emperor Zhao that year. He has no power behind him. As long as he dies, the head of the pacification department will be replaced. At that time, how can the pacification department embarrass your Shionaya Pavilion's subordinate force, Golden Wind and Rain Tower? The old man said. So you are for the position of the head of the pacification department. According to the ability of your evil alliance, you should be able to get rid of Aoyang Xiang. Why do you want to join forces with us? Emperor Yi asked in a deep voice. It's still the cooperation we talked about before. We think that you, Shionaya Pavilion, can become a partner of our evil alliance. The old man said. Hearing the old man's words, Emperor Yi pretended to be in deep thought. He waited for these people to come just to understand the other party. If he could cooperate with them, he would definitely understand more. Mr. Yi, you don't have much time to think about it. Before we came, we had already informed Aoyang Xiang of your presence. It is estimated that Aoyang Xiang and his men will arrive in a while. The old man Lu Yuan said in a deep voice. Even if all 3 of them come, it won't embarrass us. Yi said confidently. They are not 3 people, but 5 people. I think if 5 masters of the 9 difficulties of the heavenly realm attack you, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to escape their siege. The old man Lu Yuan said. You are really good at calculating. I can only represent the North Pavilion of Shionaya Pavilion to cooperate with your evil alliance. Yi said, after thinking for a moment. Shionaya Pavilion, North Pavilion, good. I wish us a smooth cooperation. Hearing Yi's words, the old man Lu Yuan frowned slightly, but nodded. But we are only 4 masters of the 9 difficulties of the heavenly realm, including you. I'm afraid we can't deal with those 5 people. Yi said, after taking a look at the 2 people opposite. Emperor Yi, you can rest assured. We will stop the other 4 people for you. You 2 just need to kill Aoyang Xiang, said the old man Lu Yuan. Emperor Yi's eyes condensed, and his consciousness spread around, but he did not find anyone around. Emperor Yi, there is no need to investigate. The 2 are on their way. When the people from the Zenfu division arrive, they will arrive too, said the old man Lu Yuan. Okay. Emperor Yi nodded. Please come in. Emperor Yi invited the 2 people into the house. The old man and the woman in white stepped into the room and sat on the chairs in the room, waiting for the people from the Zenfu division to come. At this time, a maid immediately brought some cakes and freshly brewed tea. Emperor Yi chatted with the old man. As for Future and the woman in white, they did not talk, and each was thinking about their own things. Time passed. Suddenly, 5 sounds of breaking through the air sounded outside the courtyard. Then 5 figures landed directly in the courtyard. The leader was Aoyang Xiang. Next to him were Liu Mufeng and Jiuo Zixing, a man in an official robe. There were 2 people standing next to each of them. One of them looked to be about 40 years old, wearing a brown robe, holding a long sword in his hand. The long sword had not been unsheathed, but it condensed a bit of evil spirit. The other one was burly, with green palms. The strength of these 2 people was at the level of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. Humph, so you have been intimidating my Zenfu division, and have not left. Is it because you have helpers? But it's still useless. As Aang Xiang spoke, he shot out. His figure appeared in front of Future, like a ghost. He raised his palm, which was green, and covered with green scales, like a monster's claw, grabbing Future. When his brother Aang Xiang made a move, Emperor of the Night, and Future, moved at the same time, and rushed towards Aang Xiang. Aang Xiang, who was attacked, was stunned and looked behind him. At this time, the 4 people behind him were also stopped by 4 figures. Now he is facing Night Emperor and Future alone, which is no different from seeking death. Chapter 366 Aang Xiang, why was I the only one to die? Who are you? Liu Mufeng stopped and looked at the 4 people in front of him, then stopped and said in a deep voice. The 3 people behind him also stopped. They looked at the 4 people who stopped them with vigilance. I just want to stop you guys, so that Yi and our Aang Xiang can settle their personal grudges later. The old man named Liu Yuan said. Personal grudges? Liu Mufeng's eyes were slightly emitting a sharp light. A green light appeared in his palm, and he grabbed it in an instant, grabbing it towards the old man's face as fast as possible. At the moment he made a move, behind him, there was a man holding a long stick, and the energy on his body surged like a torrent, and a series of low thunderous sounds flowed in his body. Hunian, Thunderstick. The man shouted in a low voice, and his figure actually overshadowed Liu Mufeng who had made the move earlier. With one stick, the powerful energy was like a hurricane, stirring up a gust of wind, and the long stick bombarded the old man like an electric current. The old man's face changed, after losing the initiative with one move. Ancient method, hammer the mountain. The old man shouted, and the blood and ki in his body flowed. His whole body seemed to double in size. The blood and ki burst out instantly, turning into a mountain, and forming a blood-colored ki. Bang! The violent thunderstick hit the blood-colored ki, shaking it and sending out ripples. The strike failed, and the stick master turned his hand, and pulled it back, and then the long stick stabbed directly like a spear. Break it for me. The huge force gathered at one point, and stabbed hard on the shield. Then the blood-colored shield exploded, and the sharp stick tip stabbed towards the old man's head as fast as lightning. Faced with such a swift attack, the old man kicked the ground with his foot, and the ground cracked. Then he punched out, and the ki on his fist surged. Bang! The fist and the long stick collided with each other. The 2 people retreated behind them at the same time, and the number of steps they retreated was almost the same. But from this point of view, the old man is stronger than the one who used the stick. After all, one used a weapon, and the other used fists. The Thunder Array Wind of the Heavenly Thunder Hall, the Kyankan Thunderstick technique, is indeed extraordinary. The old man looked at the person who made the move and said, "Who are you? You should not be from Chyanaya Pavilion." At this time, Liu Mufeng looked at the old man and said, "Just now, he tried to test the opponent, and the opponent was very strong. His blood, energy, and physical body were all displayed. This was a warning to them. Yi is a friend of us. We are just helping a friend." The old man did not give his name, but said this. Hearing the old man's words, Liu Mufeng's eyes condensed, and his eyes looked at Jiuo Zixing beside him, wanting to see what he thought. At this time, Jiuo Zixing's eyes flashed, and he looked in the direction of Aang Xiang. Just saw Aang Xiang was hit by Yi's palm, and his energy was scattered. Later, his figure flashed, and he took the opportunity to print a palm on the opponent's chest. Bang! A layer of blood-colored ki appeared on Aang Xiang's body, blocking the attack of Future. But blood also flowed from the corner of his mouth. He turned around and wanted to escape, but Yi stopped him and raised his hand to slap him. Seeing this, Aang Xiang's palm collided with Yi. Broken. Yi shouted. The ki in Aang Xiang's palm exploded, and the blood vessels in his arm burst, and he let out a scream. Save our Xiang first. Guo Zixing secretly transmitted the message. They came to kill others, but in the end, they were killed by others. This is their shame. You are friends, so you can die together. Guo Zixing stepped on the ground and shot out. At the moment of shooting out, he raised the long sword in his hand and then slashed at the old man. Liu Mufeng on the other side moved his body towards Li Di and the others. The knife energy turned into a knife light and instantly slashed in front of the old man. However, this knife was still blocked by the old man. Do you think he can save him? The old man sneered. When Liu Mufeng moved, a white figure followed closely behind him, stretched out his hand and slapped Liu Mufeng's back. There was a burning heat in the palm power, and Liu Mufeng was startled, turned around and fought with the opponent. As for the other two people, they were also stopped. For a while, Liu Mufeng was unable to support our Xiang, who was surrounded by Yi Di and A. And our Xiang looked very bad. Yi Di's palm method was domineering, and it was somewhat similar to his martial arts. He couldn't fight Yi Di head on, and every time Day suddenly attacked, his ki dissipated quickly. If it weren't for his strong physical body and blood, he wouldn't have been able to hold on until now. He looked at the four people who came with them. Gao Xiang looked a little miserable. He didn't understand why he was the only one besieged by two people, and he was not the strongest among the five of them. Bang! At the moment when his mind relaxed, Yi Di slapped the other person's back. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out, turning into a blood arrow, and heading towards the future in front of him. Future turned around and disappeared in front of him. The blood arrow he spit out missed, but the person appeared in front of him. He stretched out his palm and slapped the other person's heart. Bang! The ki force was transmitted internally, trying to shatter our Xiang's heart meridian. You underestimate me, Gao Xiang. Even if I die, I will drag someone down with me. The ki sea swallows the sky force. Gao Xiang shouted in a low voice, opened his mouth and swallowed, and the surrounding airflow went into his body like a whirlwind. The ki force that Future had just injected into his body also went directly to his danshan under this suction force. Not only the surrounding ki force, but also any energy in his own body, meridians, tendons, bones, blood, and bone marrow was gathering. Roar. Then he roared in a low voice. The violent ki force wave burst out from his mouth. This ki force rushed out like a sea wave, and the air made a bursting sound under this blow. The face of Future, who was facing him, changed, and the ki around him quickly protected his body and formed a ki gang. However, the defensive power of the ki gang formed in an emergency was a little weak, and cracks appeared under this ki wave. It seemed that it would not be able to hold on. Boom. At this time, Emperor Knight, behind him, made a move. The violent force poured into our Xiang's body like a mudslide, colliding with the ki in his body. Bang! There was a muffled sound in the body, and the airflow stopped instantly. Puff! Gao Xiang spurted out a mouthful of blood, and looked at the Night Emperor behind him, and finally looked at Future. At this time, blood flowed from the corner of Future's mouth. The opponent used his life to hit her, and she was injured due to carelessness. If it weren't for the Night Emperor's timely move, her injury would be more serious. Plop. Gao Xiang knelt on one knee on the ground, supporting the ground with one hand. He felt sad. He didn't expect that he, the master of the main hall of the Zenfu division and a warrior of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, would die here. He was even more unwilling. Why was he the only one being surrounded and killed? He was puzzled, but no one answered him. Plop. The body fell to the ground, and then the breath disappeared. For a moment, the atmosphere became silent. At this time, Liu Mufeng grabbed our Xiang's body with one hand and shouted, "Let's go." After that, he left quickly. The other three also left quickly. Chapter 367. Caging, the left Prime Minister of the Great Zhao Dynasty, and the Heavenly Silkworm Blood Transformation Technique. Seeing the retreating people, the old man and others did not stop them. Their purpose of coming here was for our Xiang. Now that our Xiang is dead, their mission is also completed. Emperor Knight, this is our evil alliance token. With this, you can go to the capital, Jingfeng Street Xiangquan restaurant, and you can contact us. We look forward to your arrival, Emperor Knight. Let's go. After saying that, he turned around and left with his men. How is your injury? Emperor Knight looked at Future and said, "The injury is not serious. After a day of rest, it should be able to recover. However, there should be someone familiar with the old man among the 4 people just now. You and I seem to have entered the fight between them," Future said in a deep voice. "Then Lu Yuan should know Liu Mufeng." Emperor Knight said, "How do you know?" Future asked. "Although they only looked at each other, they still couldn't hide it from me. Or if we don't cooperate with those people, we might be surrounded today. Even if we escape from here, we might lose one person." Emperor of the Night said in a deep voice, "I really want to know who is behind this evil alliance." Emperor of the Night had a gleam in his eyes. Then he left quickly with Future. It was evening, and the capital city, which was about to enter spring, was still chilly in the evening. Pedestrians on the street were hurriedly walking in coats, and some night stalls began to set up. Taverns and brothels were still bustling. A place called Qin Yuanfang Flower Shop's backyard. The old man Lu Yuan appeared and pushed open the door of a wing room. He walked straight to the bed in the house, and a trace appeared above the head of the bed. A passage appeared under the bed, and his figure jumped in. The passage was extremely dark, but the old man seemed to be familiar with it. I don't know how long he walked. The old man pushed open the stone door in front of him, and appeared in a secret room. In the secret room, a man in a brocade robe, who looked about 50 years old, had a tall and straight body, exuded a sense of oppression, had a black beard, and a stern face, giving people a sense of having been in a high position for a long time. "Meet Prime Minister K." Lu Yuan walked in, and bowed to the person in front of him. Prime Minister K in the Great Zhao Dynasty, the only person with the name K is a current left Prime Minister Kajing. I didn't expect that the person behind the evil alliance would be the left Prime Minister of the Great Zhao Dynasty. The Great Zhao Dynasty had 2 Prime Ministers, the left and the right. Kajing was the left, and Fu Zhongshu was the right. Kajing nodded at the visitor. "Prime Minister K. Gaoyang Xiang is dead, and Future is injured." The old man Lu Yuan said. "Gaoyang Xiang fought to his death but only injured Future. I still overestimated him a little. What do you think of that, Emperor Yi? What level of strength is he at?" Kajing asked. "I'm just surprised by the evil alliance. There's no change in other aspects. He looks very confident. Based on the situation of the ki he burst out when he took action, the ki in his body should be about to turn into the sea. Once it turns into the sea, he will be one of the strongest Shinran realm masters." The old man Lu Yuan told Kajing in front of him what he observed. "Is that so? Then have more contact with this Emperor Knight and find out the purpose of their coming to the capital." Kajing was not very surprised when the old man said that Emperor Knight was about to turn his ki into the sea, because he was also at this stage. "Also, have you found out who did it to Princess Danayang?" Kajing said in a deep voice. "There is no clue for the time being. Princess Danayang died a little suddenly, but I think it may be a revenge killing." The old man Lu Yuan said. "Revenge killing? Then why put the blame on the retainers of the Grand Tutor's mansion? We must find this person. I want to see who ruined our plan." Originally, Miran King was in trouble, and everyone was suppressing it. But now that Princess Danayang is dead, it's impossible to suppress it now. I suspect someone may know our plan and try to stop it. The leader of the Huangquan Bugi people can't be alive. Find a way to get rid of him, and don't leave any traces. A sharp light flashed in Kajing's eyes. "I understand," said the old man Lu Yuan. "The leader of the Huangquan Bugi people has the strength of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man. If the Emperor of the Night comes, you can invite him to join us. After killing the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people, arrange for me to meet the Emperor of the Night." Kajing then said, "Continue to prepare 30 virgins with good qualifications for me. Prime Minister, the Cheyenne GNC may have noticed something and recently sent spies to investigate this matter. We can no longer search around the capital. It will take some time," said the old man Lu Yuan. "The blood of these 30 virgins should be able to help me cultivate the heavenly silkworm blood transformation technique. After the cultivation is completed, the blood of the virgins will probably not be used for a while. By then, I will let them remain silent. No matter how powerful the Heavenly Supervision Department is, they will not be able to find any clues." Kajing replied. "I understand. I will arrange someone to do it immediately." Lu Yuan bowed and left the secret room. Inside the secret room, Keijing went to another stone door. The stone door was opened, and a bloody smell came out from the stone door. Inside the stone door, on the ground, there were more than a dozen unconscious young women. Keijing stepped into the stone door, came to the middle stone pier and sat cross-legged, and then sucked with his palm, and a young woman was caught in his hand. Whoosh! The unconscious young woman groaned, and then the blood in her body was sucked out by a suction force and poured into Keijing's palm. When the blood poured into his palm, streams of air appeared in Keijing's body. These streams flowed along specific meridians, introducing the blood in his palm into his body. As the blood in his body changed, the young woman's body shrank, and she lost her breath. Keijing threw her aside casually. He continued to absorb the blood in the second woman's body. Using blood as a skill, the left prime minister of the Great Zhao dynasty was actually practicing such an evil skill. The origin of Evil Alliance may be because of this. The capital, Beihua Tower. Helian Luo and the man in black robes were sitting upright, and both of them looked bad. Gao Yangxiang died, and Liu Mufeng and Ji Yuo Zixing returned safely. What do you think about this matter? The man in black robes who spoke was Ren Chunfeng, one of the 5 giants of the Zenfu division. I feel that there is a hand pushing this matter secretly, which is why I don't agree with Gao Yangxiang and others to take action against GD. Brother N, how is the investigation of the matter I asked you to investigate last time? Helian Lu said. Evil Alliance, I have found clues about a person, and I'm trying to track his whereabouts. I should be able to get his portrait within 2 days, but the Xianjian division is already investigating this matter. If we continue, I'm afraid we need to meet with the people from the Xianjian division. Ren Chunfeng frowned. I'll meet with them at the Xianjian division, and you should get the portrait of that person as soon as possible. I have a feeling that the recent events in the capital are related to this Evil Alliance. And the 4th prince, didn't he capture someone next to the leader of the Huangquan Bugi people? There should be some clues that he can share with us. When the time is right, we can reveal the matter of the Evil Alliance to him. Helian Lu said in a deep voice. Chapter 368 Cui Wuhu's Luck, King of the World, Li Chenzhao, Lingnan County. In early spring, thunders appeared in the sky. I didn't expect that spring thunders would appear so early in the north. Su Chen stood on the pavilion of Shangate, watching the thunders between heaven and earth. The sound was loud and resounding throughout the world. He turned back to the pavilion. Inside the pavilion, Zhu Zhengwo and Yuan Suan were sitting on wooden chairs. Zhao Qiushu has been constantly comprehending the Forget Love book that he has been practicing recently, collecting some precious medicines, and starting to improve his strength in seclusion. What do you think of this Evil Alliance? A letter came from Yi, and the people of the Evil Alliance came to them and helped them intercept the people of the Zenfu division. This gave Yi and the others the opportunity to get rid of Gao Yangxiang, the head of the Zenfu division. From the feedback, the Evil Alliance is very powerful in the capital. Contacting them will help us understand them. It's just that their purpose is confusing. Yuan Suan said. The meaning of the Evil Alliance's words is to prevent the Great Zhao Emperor from using the dragon vein to break through, but Yi doesn't think so. Logically, if they want to destroy the fortune of the Great Zhao dynasty, they should attack the 9 princes. What's the point of attacking Miran Qingchen? Moreover, Miran Qingchen's death was completely suppressed. What does it mean to suppress it? It means that this point can't cause unrest in the capital. This has nothing to do with what they said about stopping the Great Zhao Emperor from using the dragon vein to break through the heaven. Of course, the Night Emperor still wants to contact them. Only by contact can we know what they want to do. I don't understand it now, but after more contact, I will know something. Let the Night Emperor arrange this matter by himself. Also tell the Night Emperor that there is not much power here to go to the capital for the time being, and everything depends on themselves. Su Chen held the teacup beside the table and prepared to drink a sip of tea. He hasn't drawn a character recently, but even if he draws a character, he needs to stay in the northern 9 counties to deal with Qinglang Temple. Cui Wuhu successfully captured Liu Liking, the deputy leader of Yuan Kingman, and subdued Liu Liking, joined Shanman, and obtained 2 orange lottery cards. The hand holding the teacup could not help but pause. Cui Woohoo successfully took down Liu Liking, the deputy leader of the resentment gate, and subdued him to join the Shan gate. Su Chen's face was full of surprise. This was really something he had not expected. Originally, the princess of Danliang had died recently, and he wanted Cui Woohoo to return to the Shan gate. After all, Cui Woohoo was extremely loyal to him, and such a loyal person must be of great use. Now that the Shan gate controls the 9 northern counties, there are many things to do, and there are many people available, but not many loyal people. But I didn't expect this kid to successfully pry the wall and take down the deputy leader of the resentment gate. As for how to take him down, I don't know. But this is absolutely an amazing operation. The deputy leader of the resentment gate, Liu Liking, according to the information obtained previously, this person's strength is in the 6 difficulties of heaven and man. Cui Woohoo's current strength growth is estimated to be at most the unity of spirit and soul, and there are no other masters around him, but he can actually take this person down. It can be seen how powerful Cui Woohoo is. Grudge sect is a relatively strong sect in Huoyuan area. Otherwise, King Liu would not allow Princess Danliang to enter Grudge sect. Of course, Huoyuan area is different from other areas. Huoyuan area is the fief of King Liu, and he has a strong control over Huoyuan area. Almost all the forces in Huoyuan area have to submit to him. I killed Danliang here. If Cui Woohoo can plant an L in Grudge sect, then it is like placing a chess piece in Huoyuan area. Maybe it can be used at that time. Su Chen thought to himself. Then he took a look at the lottery cards he had accumulated now. 6 orange lottery cards and 2 blue lottery cards. But he didn't draw. He didn't have good luck before, so he didn't dare to draw. I wonder if Cui Woohoo can give me some luck. Su Chen thought to himself. He directly drew 6 orange lottery cards. Obtained 1 card for the initiation of the amazing spearmanship, 1 card for the initiation of Zhu Zhengwo's unique skill, half-broken brocade, 3 bottles of Shinran pills. Note: 5 pills/bottle. Character card Li Chenzhao. Not bad, not bad. Cui Woohoo really brings me good luck. Thinking of this, Su Chen couldn't help but think of Xiaopang. Xiaopang was also extremely lucky, but now he is in charge of the money bank business of the entire northern 9 counties Shanman, and he can't see anyone at all. As for the few people in front of him, Yuan Suan, Zhu Zhengwo, and the 5 poison boys on the side, including himself, their luck is really not as strong as Xiaopang and the others. Su Chen doesn't need to look at the first few. He wants to see the information of the last one, Li Chenzhao. Who is Li Chenzhao? He is a character in Wenshu, the heroes of Shenzhou, the leader of the world's largest gang power gang, known as King of the World, amazing talent. The only son of Yan Kuang-tu. What does he believe in? Fist is power. Clenching a fist is holding power. Punching hard is power. A man cannot live without power for a day. I only believe in my fist. This is his creed. It can be said that Li Chenzhou is an absolute hero and his strength is absolutely strong. However, Su Chen is also a little worried. After all, when Xiao Qiushu appeared earlier, he defined Xiao Qiushu as a unity of spirit and soul. Xiao Qiushu and Li Chenzhou are characters of the same period. Xiao Qiushu, Li Chenzhou, and Zhu Xiaowu. 3 people are 3 strong men in the same period. Of course, when Xiao Qiushu appeared, it was a blue lottery card. Now Li Chenzhou is orange, and his strength should be able to make him look forward to it. After checking, Su Chen's eyes flashed. Li Chenzhou's strength introduction is the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, and there is a note behind it, broken void character. Although Su Chen doesn't know what this note is for now, but it should not be simple. After all, only Night Emperor and Li Chenzhou have it. Next time I draw a lottery, I should go to Xiaopang and Cui Woohoo. Cui Woohoo's strength is still a little weak. I will draw Zhu Zheng's martial arts card and give it to Cui Woohoo. By the way, I will give him 2 Shinran pills. He should be able to enter the Shinran realm. Cui Woohoo made a great contribution this time, so he had to reward him. He reached out his hand and a brocade box appeared. He put 2 Zhu Zhengwo's martial arts infusion cards and a bottle of elixir inside. Send this thing to Cui Woohoo in person and say that I gave it to him. Su Chen handed the thing to the 5 poison boy. Cui Wu who did not summon the character himself, so he could not infuse it remotely. He could only let him experience it himself, so he had to arrange for the 5 poison boy to deliver it in person. Although Cui Wu who had not yet sent back the information of the grudge gate, it had been verified here, and it was definitely not wrong. So the reward here first would make Cui Wu who more moved. Yes. The 5 poison boy took the brocade box, left the room, and quickly left the mountain and river gate to Huoyuan. After all, it takes a long time to go back and forth to Huoyuan. As time passed, the capital became quiet, and the 9 northern counties also became quiet. Huoyuan area. In a house, a woman with a good figure was helping Cui Wu dress. Woohoo, although the dual cultivation technique has helped you improve your strength, it is still a little difficult for you to break through to the realm of heaven and man. If you have the heavenly man pill now, you should be able to break through after practicing dual cultivation a few more times. I was ostracized in the gate of resentment, so it is a little difficult for me to get the heavenly man pill. The woman said softly. Chapter 369, Grudge Sect, Deputy Sect Leader Liu Liking. The woman who spoke was about 30 years old. She was wearing a clean snow white robe, and her face was a little cold, but when she looked at Cui Wu, her eyes revealed a hint of tenderness. This woman was Liu Liking, one of the 3 deputy leaders of the Yuan King sect. My talent is a little poor, so I can only improve slowly. In fact, compared with others, my strength improvement is already very fast. Cui Wu didn't care, because his improvement speed was already very fast. Do you want to mention it to Master Su? He is the young leader of the Qinglang Society, and now the leader of the 9 northern counties. It should be no problem to get the Shanren pill. Liu Liking said on the side. The master has his own arrangements. Now the focus of our side is to help you improve your status in the Yuan King sect. Although you are one of the 3 deputy leaders, you have been excluded and have little power. But no matter what, your identity as a deputy leader is still useful. I'm going to contact Master Wudu and ask him to help me prepare some medicine to see if I can control all the high level people in your Yuan King sect. Cui Wu said. If anyone heard what Cui Wu said, they would be absolutely horrified. This is too cruel to control all the senior leaders. The strength of the sect master is about to enter the 8 difficulties of heaven and man. It is probably difficult to control her with poison. What's more, she is the mistress of King Liu. If she is poisoned, King Liu will definitely take action. Liu Liking said. Even if she is one of the 8 difficulties of heaven and man, she will be poisoned by the 5 poisons prince, and she will still be unable to live or die. But let's put the sect master of resentment sect aside for the time being. Let's deal with the other 2 deputy sect masters first. Recently, you can help me collect the attendants and maids around those 2 people to see if there is any chance to plot against them. Cui Wu said. Okay, send those people's information tomorrow. By the way, there is news from the capital that King Liu's daughter was killed, and King Liu's 3rd son is going to the capital from Huoyuan. I want to take action again. Liu Liking said. The main reason why Cui Wu can be with Liu Liking is that when Liu Liking assassinated Ni Chang, the 3rd son of King Liu, he was injured and poisoned with love. Princess Tan Yang attacked Su Chen. The palace of King Liu is Su Chen's enemy, so he has been secretly monitoring the palace of King Liu recently. When he saw the injured Liu Liking, he rescued Liu Liking at that time. He was also forced by Liu Liking to remove the love poison. And he knew why Liu Liking attacked Ni Chang, the 3rd son of King Liu. King Liu killed Liu Liking's family that year, and only the 9-year-old Liu Liking hid in the tunnel and was not killed. Later, he entered the gate of resentment to practice. Over the years, he has been thinking about revenge on King Liu, but his own strength is too far behind King Liu, so after reaching the heavenly man realm, he has been in seclusion, thinking about killing King Liu one day. But after his strength entered the 6 difficulties of heaven and man, he was unable to improve. So he thought of killing the children of King Liu, but he didn't expect that Ni Chang was guarded by a master. The other party saw that she was a woman and poisoned her with love. I guess Ni Chang was already on guard last time. I will write a letter to the headmaster tomorrow to see if I can ask the assassins of King Lang Society to help you kill them. Cui Woohoo said. No, I want to kill them myself so that I can get rid of my hatred for so many years. Liu Liking said. Then we must control Yuan Kingman first and then take action against King Liu after the power grows stronger. Also, revenge killing is the last act. We can do something against King Liu's mansion. Cui Woohoo said. Everything is up to you. Liu Liking said. Don't worry, isn't King Liu going to celebrate his 7th princess birthday in 3 days? I have prepared a special gift for him. Cui Woohoo said afterwards. Then I will go back to Yuan Kingman first. Liu Liking said to Cui Woohoo and turned to leave. After Liu Liking left, Cui Woohoo stepped out of the room. It was already evening. Seeing Cui Woohoo coming out, the eldest brother of the KO family, one of the 2 strange swordsmen, appeared beside Cui Woohoo. Boss Cui, we have tricked that gambler into earning gambling debts. Should we take action? The eldest brother of the KO family said. He now called Cui Woohoo the boss because Cui Woohoo was too cruel, too crazy, and too loyal to Su Chen. Of course, they also admired Cui Woohoo. Su Chen is not only the head of the Shan sect, but also the leader of the martial arts world of the 9 northern counties. He has the strong support of the King Lang Club behind him, and he is also the young dragon leader. How did Cui Woohoo curry favor with this identity? Now they can't curry favor with Su Chen, so they can only curry favor with Cui Woohoo. The gambler they are talking about is the lover of the personal maid of the 3rd princess of the Liu Palace. You should also be careful. Recently, the princess of Danliang in the capital was killed, and the 3rd son Ni Chan was assassinated. I'm afraid that the Liu Palace will also be on guard. Cui Woohoo said. Don't worry, boss Cui. The KO family boss hurriedly said. Bring that gambler to our base. I want to give him enough money, and he will help us bring those things into the Liu Palace. Cui Woohoo said. This gambler is the mean Cui Woohoo prepared for the birthday of the 7th princess of Liu. Okay. After saying that, the KO family boss left. In the courtyard, Cui Woohoo was alone in deep thought. After taking down Liu Liking of the Grudge sect, his side in the Huoyuan area was considered stable. But later, if he wanted to target the Liu Palace, his strength was still much worse, so he decided to send a pigeon to tell Su Chen about what happened here. Old Cui, you are so lucky. Just as he was about to enter the house to write a letter, a childlike voice sounded in his ears. 5 poison young master. Cui Woohoo showed joy on his face. Unlike others, he liked to call the 5 poison boy the 5 poison young master. Old Cui, what you said is what I like the most. The 5 poison boy appeared in the courtyard. Master Wudu, why did you come to Huoyuan? Cui Woohoo asked in confusion. The master asked me to send you something. I tell you, old Cui, this time I bring you something good. Wudu boy said softly. Master, I asked you to send me something. Cui Woohoo was surprised when he heard it, and his surprise was mixed with excitement. There is a secret room here. Let's go in and talk. Wudu boy said. Okay. Cui Woohoo excitedly took Wudu boy into the secret room. Inside the secret room, Wudu boy took out a brocade box from his arms. There are 2 Shinran pills and 2 martial arts realm cards in this brocade box, which can help you understand martial arts. Wudu boy opened the brocade box and continued. I suggest you use this in a strength realm card first, and then take Shinran pill. If you step into the heavenly realm, use the other spear realm card. Wudu boy said. Cui Woohoo, holding the brocade box, was extremely excited. Liu Liking had told him before that, if he had the heavenly man pill, he could enter the heavenly man realm. He didn't expect that the headmaster would deliver it right away. He also gave him 2 martial arts realm cards. He secretly swore to be loyal to Su Chen until death. I'll help you guard here. You break through quickly. The 5 poison boy looked at Cui Woohoo and said. Cui Woohoo hurriedly sat cross-legged and began to comprehend the half-broken brocade initiation card. When he picked up the initiation card, he was immediately enveloped by a martial arts realm, and his meridians instantly began to run along the route of the half-broken brocade. Heavenly Man pill. At this time, the 5 poison boy raised his hand, and a heavenly man pill was grabbed from the pill bottle, and then shot into Cui Woohoo's mouth. Chapter 370 Ghost Domain, Lei Jiudong's Method. In a secret room of manor in Longbei County, Su Chen stood with his hands behind his back. Behind him stood 3 people, Yan Nanshan, Ding Peng, and Li Chenhao, who had appeared some time ago. The 3 of them restrained their momentum and looked serious. As for Ah Fei, Xiao Qiushu and Zhu Zhengwo, they had not come. Ah Fei had a mission, and went to carry it out. A few days ago, Su Chen handed the relic to Xiao Qiushu, who went into seclusion to refine the relic. Zhu Zhengwo helped Su Chen deal with the affairs of the martial arts world in the 9 northern counties. This time, Su Chen personally led a team to secretly come to Longbei County. The relic failed to mobilize the people from Qinglang Temple. It seems that Zhu Zioran's death last time must be related to Qinglang Temple. They are afraid that we will find an excuse to take action, Su Chen said in a deep voice. After the relic was released, he arranged 4 people to fight for the relic, and also let Xiao Qiushu absorb the power of the relic, but these did not force the Qinglang Temple personnel to go out. Therefore, Su Chen has now determined that Zhu Zioran's death must be related to the Qinglang Temple. After killing someone, there is no movement. What does the Qinglang Temple want to do? Su Chen said in a deep voice. Su Chen must not have figured this out until now. Since the Qinglang Temple has already taken action, it should not stop. Now there are no other princes in the 9 northern counties. The people in the capital who previously forced the Qinglang Temple to close the temple probably hope that the Qinglang Temple will reopen the temple. With the status of the Qinglang Temple in the Tantric Buddhism, they can invite other Buddhist masters to come. With their own foundation, it should be possible to fight against the Qinglang Society and his forces. But now there has been no movement, which makes Su Chen very confused. Damn. At this time, a hurried sound came from outside the secret room. Then the stone door of the secret room was opened, and Zhu Yiren walked out. Zhu Yiren came to Longbei County a long time ago, and has been investigating whether Zhu Zioran's death has anything to do with the Qinglang Temple. Zhu Yiren came to Su Chen with a serious expression, holding a long sword. My lord, I have found the person who killed my brother. He is in the Qinglang Temple, Zhu Yiren said in a deep voice, but I'm a little confused. The person who killed my brother is not a monk. Not a monk? Hearing Zhu Yiren's words, Su Chen frowned slightly. Then how could this person be in the Qinglang Temple? Su Chen couldn't help asking. Zhu Yiren just said that the other party was in the Qinglang Temple. I haven't found out the other party's identity. Zhu Yiren shook his head. Is that so? There are several masters of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man in the Qinglang Temple. Su Chen said. There are 4 masters of the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, 1 master of the 8 difficulties of heaven and man, 2 masters of the 7 difficulties of heaven and man, and about 10 masters of the 6 difficulties of heaven and man to the 1 difficulties of heaven and man. Zhu Yiren replied. The strength of Qinglang Temple is indeed quite strong. Hearing Zhu Yiren's words, Su Chen couldn't help but admire. First, do your best to investigate the identity of that person, and then find out how to deal with Qinglang Temple. Qinglang Temple is very powerful, and Su Chen can't be anxious. He is not absolutely sure of a head-on conflict, unless Yi and Future are transferred back from the capital. But now, Yi is in contact with people from Zimeng in the capital. He wants to get some information about Zimeng. He can't go back to the 9 northern counties for the time being. I will send the portrait to the capital. Qinglang Society itself has not established an intelligence agency and has always relied on Jinfeng Xiao Tower. Now Jinfeng Xiao Tower has a foothold in the capital. The intelligence information will be more complete. I believe that the information of that person will be obtained soon. At this time, outside the Great Wall, Wu Demon, Dugu Wudi looked a little bad. During this period of time, he has not found an opportunity to attack Lei Jiudong, the big boss of the ghost domain. After obtaining the resources of Xianshan sect, Lei Jiudong seemed to disappear. Lei Xingchuan kept saying that Lei Jiudong was in seclusion. But Dugu Wudi didn't think so. Qian Mianhu, is there any news from there? Dugu Wudi looked at Wanduk Xianweng beside him and said, "No news." Wanduk Xianweng shook his head. Kai and Mianhu was sent to the ghost domain by him some time ago to investigate Lei Jiodong's whereabouts, but there is no news until now. Liu Shengaijian has already arrived at the Wudi gate. He can't let Liu Shengaijian wait here for too long. After all, the master is preparing to deal with Qinglang Temple and needs experts, so he needs to find Lei Jiodong's trace as soon as possible. Let Liu Shengaijian attack him. As long as Lei Jiodong is killed, there will be a competition between the major bosses in the ghost domain. At that time, he will have the opportunity to enter the ghost domain. Contact Kai and Mianhu again immediately and let him find out Lei Jiodong's whereabouts as soon as possible. Dugu Wudi said. Yes. Wanduk Xianweng bowed and left the hall. In the ghost domain, the Thousand Faces Fox was kneeling in front of Lei Jiodong. "This Dugu Wudi has been asking you to find my whereabouts. Do you know why?" Lei Jiodong said softly. "I don't know this. Since the Immortal of 10,000 Poisons appeared in the Wudi sect, Dugu Wudi has given us a lot of information through the Immortal of 10,000 Poisons." The Thousand Faces Fox said. "Is Guan Qi still in your Wudi sect?" Lei Jiodong said. "Yes, he didn't leave." The Thousand Faces Fox said. "It's good that he didn't leave. It's also a gift from me to the Xianshan sect." Lei Jiodong said in a deep voice. "My lord, are you going to take action against Dugu Wudi?" The Thousand Faces Fox was stunned when he heard this. This Dugu Wudi is very ambitious. If he is allowed to develop, the ghost domain will be threatened. I'm concerned about the Xianaya Pavilion behind him and cannot take action, but Dugu Wudi killed the people of the Xianshan sect. Isn't it normal for the Xianshan sect to seek revenge on them? Lei Jiodong said with a smile on his face. But if that's the case, isn't our ghost domain also involved? Kai and Mianhu said in confusion. The matter of Xianshan sect has nothing to do with ghost domain. It was Dugu Wudi of Wudi sect who took action on his own. I have explained this matter to Elder Feng of Xianshan sect's South Mountain. Lei Jiodong said softly. Elder Feng of Xianshan sect's South Mountain. The master is talking about Elder Feng Bihe, the Feng Bihe who is rumored to have competed with Mu Feng'an for the position of Mountain Master. Kai and Mianhu couldn't help but speak out. Yes, this Elder Feng Bihe and I have been friends for many years. It was Feng Bihe who came to Xianshan sect's North Mountain to deal with Bikingshan's matter this time. Lei Jiodong said. Since Dugu Wudi wants my whereabouts, then you can give him my whereabouts and let me see what he wants to do. A cold light flashed in Lei Jiodong's eyes. Yes, I understand. Kai and Mianhu bowed and left the room, but she left the room with a light flashing in her eyes, as if she was thinking about something. After Kai and Mianhu left, a figure walked out from the darkness. It was Zhu Xiang, the second in command of the ghost domain. Begin command. This Thousand Faces Fox can betray Dugu Wudi, and maybe it will betray us too. Do we need to be on guard? Zhu Xiang said. This Thousand Faces Fox is a smart person. What's more, she is the person I arranged to be next to Dugu Wudi. Lei Jiodong said. Chapter 371. Xianshan sect arrives. Wudi sect in danger. Hearing Lei Jiodong's words, Zhu Xiang was stunned. He didn't expect that Kai and Mianhu would be the person Lei Jiodong arranged to be next to Dugu Wudi. He admired Lei Jiodong's methods in his heart. Boss, what should we do next? Zhu Xiang said. The people from Xianshan sect have arrived. Let's just watch the show next. Lei Jiodong said in a deep voice. The people from Xianshan sect have arrived. Zhu Xiang's face was extremely surprised. He didn't expect that the people from Xianshan sect had already arrived. Yes, this is why I asked Kai and Mianhu to return to Wu Demon. Dugu Wudi's purpose of finding my whereabouts is very simple, that is, to attack me secretly. As long as he kills me, he can continue to erode the ghost domain. But I won't give him a chance. Now the people from Xianshan sect have followed Kai and Mianhu and returned to Wu Demon. Lei Jiodong said coldly. How could Lei Jiodong be a simple person who could control the ghost domain? Dugu Wudi sent Kai and Mianhu to investigate his whereabouts, and he knew that Dugu Wudi was going to attack him. So he contacted the Xianshan sect. He planned to use the Xianshan sect to kill Dugu Wudi. Boss, There is news from the capital that the two pavilion masters of the North Pavilion of Xian'ai Pavilion overpowered the palace master of the Great Zhao Zhen Fu Division, and the strength they showed was very strong. If we kill Du Guwudi, I'm afraid we will be targeted by Xian'ai Pavilion, Zhu Xiang said in a deep voice. Du Guwudi and others did not die in my hands, but in the hands of the Xianxian sect. What does it have to do with us? Let's go and watch the show now. I really want to see how Du Guwudi wants my life, relying on that Guan Qi. Lei Jiodong's eyes flashed with coldness. He really wanted to see how Du Guwudi would kill him. After speaking, he took Zhu Xiang to the direction of the Wudi Gate. The Wudi Gate. In the main hall of the gate. Master, I have figured out the whereabouts of Lei Jiodong, the big boss of the ghost domain. This is a map of the ghost domain, and the place where Lei Jiodong is in seclusion. Qian Mianhu took out a map of the ghost domain from his arms, and marked the place where Lei Jiodong was in seclusion. Du Guwudi took the map from Qian Mianhu's hand, and his face showed excitement. As long as he found Lei Jiodong's whereabouts, Liu Sheng would be able to kill him with one sword. Lei Jiodong, you will die tomorrow. Du Guwudi murmured. He was going to ask Liu Sheng to kill Lei Jiodong with one sword tomorrow. We don't know whether Lei Jiodong will die or not, but you will die tonight. If you dare to kill someone from my Xianxian sect, you will have no chance of survival. At this time, a deep voice came from outside the hall. Du Guwudi's pupils shrank suddenly. At this time, three figures walked in from outside the hall. The three people were wearing white robes, and a golden snow lotus was embroidered on the corner of the white robes. People from Xianxian sect. Du Guwudi's heart trembled when he saw the three people appear. He didn't expect that someone from the Xianxian sect would show up, so he couldn't help but look at the Thousand Faces Fox. The Thousand Faces Fox was also startled at this moment, but then it became clear. She now understood Lei Jiodong's intention of asking her to come back, which was to lead the way for the people from the Xianxian sect. Thinking of this, he retreated violently. You betrayed me. Looking at the Thousand Faces Fox that shot out, Du Guwudi's expression was very gloomy. He really didn't expect the Thousand Faces Fox to betray him. He had saved the Thousand Faces Fox's life. Each serves his own master. I'm the big boss sent to the Wudi sect, said the Thousand Faces Fox. Although Du Guwudi was a little overbearing, he treated her well. But she was Lei Jiodong's man. Lei Jiodong, worthy of being the big boss of the ghost domain, has a deep calculation. Du Guwudi said after a moment of silence. Then he looked at the three people from the Xianxian sect standing there and said, what are your names? I'm Feng Bihe from the Nanshan sect of the Xianxian sect. These two are my junior brothers Mei Yingheng and Zhao Suo. Your strength is too weak. Tell Guan Qi to come out. I will send you off together. If you have any backup plan, I will also give you the opportunity to tell them to come out. The person standing in the front said. Before coming, they also knew about the Wudi sect. Knowing that Du Guwudi came from the now famous Xian'ai Pavilion in the Great Zhao Dynasty, they sent 2 of the 8 difficulties of Heaven and Man, and 1 of the 7 difficulties of Heaven and Man from the Xianxian sect. They were afraid that this Wudi sect might be hiding some masters. Hearing the names of the 3 people, Du Guwudi's face changed drastically. Although he didn't know these 3 people, he knew their names. Feng Bihe and Mei Ying were strong men from the 8 difficulties of Heaven and Man, and Zhao Suo was the 7 difficulties of Heaven and Man. Among them, Feng Bihe was especially strong. This person's strength was close to the 9 difficulties of Heaven and Man, and he was the strongest among the 3. When he was thinking, standing at the end, Zhao Suo stepped forward, and a huge force of energy appeared around him, pressing towards Du Guwudi. Crack. Under the pressure of Zhao Suo's energy, the bricks under Du Guwudi's feet shattered, and blood flowed from his eyes, mouth, and nose. There was a big gap between him and Zhao Suo. Demon disintegrates. Du Guwudi did not hesitate at all, and the blood in his body began to burn crazily in exchange for the opportunity to move his body. Zion Weng, notify Guan Qi to leave. I will resist them for a while. Du Guwudi shouted at Wandu Zion Weng beside him. Leave, that means Guan Qi is here. Hearing Du Guwudi's words, Chen sect's Zhao Suo. A cold light flashed in his eyes, moved his body, and instantly slashed at Dugu Wudi with the long sword in his hand. Give Dugu Wudi a chance to call for help. But that was just talk. Once he made a move, he would not hold back. Seeing this, Dugu Wudi's exterminating demonic power, under the blessing of the heavenly demon disintegration method, formed a thick ki shield, blocking the sword light. But this ki shield only blocked the sword light for a moment. The next second, the ki barrier was broken. The sword light appeared in front of his chest. Swish. After the sword light, a huge blood mark appeared on Dugu Wudi's chest, and blood flowed out from the blood mark. The gap in strength was too big. Master, go quickly. Seeing this, Wandu Zanweng immediately attacked Zhao Suo, giving Dugu Wudi a chance to escape. If you want to die, then I'll send you off first. Zhao Suo's long sword slashed out again, and the sword light was like a silver light, heading towards Wandu Zanweng. Wandu Zanweng punched, trying to block the sword light. But then he screamed, and his fist and arm were wrapped in the sword light, and were instantly chopped into pieces. Swish. The scream stopped immediately, and a sword mark appeared on Wandu Zanweng's throat. Has Guan Qi not shown up yet? Zhao Suo slowly walked towards Dugu Wudi. Roar. At this moment, a roar sounded outside the hall, and the burly Kun Wu appeared. He punched out, and a strong ki burst out from his fist, colliding with the air, and a shocking sound burst out. It made people's eardrums hurt, looking for death. But at this time, Mei Ying, who was beside Feng Bihua, pointed his finger horizontally, and a silver light broke through the air. Swish. It went straight into Kun Wu's eyebrows. Plop. The huge body fell to the ground, and there was a rumbling sound. At this time, in the back hall of Wudi Gate, in a secret room, Guan Qi and Liu Shengyijian, who were sitting cross-legged, opened their eyes at the same time. Not good. After the two said this, they left the secret room at the same time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372. Yajiu kills with one sword, no chance to regret. Inside the palace, Dugu Wudi's chest wound was bleeding, and his vitality was constantly draining away. The sword of Zhao Suo from the Chen sect just now not only left a scar on his chest, but the sword energy also invaded his body, damaging his organs, making it impossible for his ki and blood to circulate normally. If the ki and blood cannot circulate, the chest injury cannot be recovered. If this continues, he will slowly bleed to death. This injury may not be enough. Zhao Suo glanced at Dugu Wudi and muttered. While speaking, he slapped out with his palm, and a stream of ki fell on Dugu Wudi's body. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted out. Dugu Wudi's face became even paler, and he looked at Zhao Suo from the Chen sect who attacked him fiercely. The opponent's palm just now shook all his internal organs out of place. What do you want to do? Kill me if you want. Dugu Wudi said with all his strength. He wanted to know what Zhao Suo's intention was. It is rumored that Guan Qi got the golden plum bottle and likes to use it when fighting. I really want to see the effect. Zhao Suo of Chen sect said. The golden plum bottle can drive people crazy if used too much. From the information obtained earlier, it is known that Guan Qi has used it several times. He kept Dugu Wudi because he wanted Dugu Wudi, who was given by Guan Qi, to use it. What's more, they are also interested in the golden plum bottle. If it is brought back to Chen sect, it will be very beneficial to Chen sect. Hearing the other party's words, Dugu Wudi's eyes revealed a trace of sadness. In his previous life, he practiced the extinction divine art to the 13th level, and was defeated by Yun Fiang, who practiced the heavenly silkworm divine art to the great success. In this life, he was defeated even more miserably. He was cut by a sword and his ki was severely injured. He could only watch his life begin to pass away. He was also used by others to test Guan Qi. You should kill me, otherwise you will regret it. Dugu Wudi looked at Zhao Suo of Chen sect and said in a deep voice. Outsiders don't know what happened to Guan Qi using the golden plum bottle, but they know that there is no side effect, and it will only consume the power in the bottle. Once Guan Qi arrives, his injuries will recover. I can kill you anytime. Xiaosuo's eyes were filled with disdain. Du Guwu's strength was too weak, and he only had the 3 difficulties of heaven and man. Such strength was considered strong in the eyes of ordinary people, but for him who had entered the 7 difficulties of heaven and man, it only took 1 sword to kill Du Guwu. In fact, if he knew that Du Guwu was only in the soul refining realm a few months ago, what would he think? After Du Guwu obtained the resources of Xianshan sect, his strength had been improved from the 1st difficulty of heaven and man to the 3 difficulties of heaven and man. Such a speed was terrifying. Lei Jiang of the ghost realm also noticed this, so he used Xianshan sect to eliminate Du Guwu. He would never let such a person who threatened him exist in the ghost realm. Boom. When Xiaosuo's voice fell, a figure rushed directly into the hall. He was burly, with a surging aura all over his body, like a giant whale in the waves, rushing over. It was Guan Qi who came. After he rushed into the hall, he saw the seriously injured Du Guwu, and his figure fell in front of Du Guwu. At this time, Du Guwu's face was as pale as paper. His breathing was weak, but his eyes were unusually bright. Even if he was defeated, Du Guwu's spirit was always there. Guan Qi's ki energy moved through Du Guwu's body, and he realized that the other party was seriously injured. He could only use the power of the golden plum bottle. Without any hesitation, the golden plum bottle emerged in his palm, and a huge suction force appeared in his palm. A strange life energy flowed from the golden plum bottle into his palm, and finally flowed from the other palm into Du Guwu's body. When this power flowed into Du Guwu's body, the sword mark on Du Guwu's chest began to recover, and the internal organs and the residual sword energy in the meridians in his body gradually began to recover and clear. This is the golden plum bottle. It's amazing. Feng Bihua of Xianshan school said. Kill them. Then Feng Bihua said. It was time to lure out Guan Qi, and he had seen the power of the golden plum bottle, so he should take action to deal with his opponent. However, Xiaosuo, who was about to take action, suddenly trembled. The hair on his body instantly stood up, and he felt a fatal threat in his mind. When this threat appeared, a figure appeared beside him like a ghost. Without any hesitation, Xiaosuo, whose mind was shocked, swung out the long sword in his hand instantly, but his sword light only slashed on a residual shadow. In front of him, a sword light flashed by. Swish. A sword mark appeared between his eyebrows. The long sword he slashed out was not retracted, and the whole person just stood there without the next move. Not far from him, a masked man appeared. It was Liu Shengyijian who followed Guan Qi to fight. The opponent had 2 Shanren Beinan and 1 Shanren Qinan. Guan Qi's strength has recently increased to Shanren Qinan, plus golden plum bottle, and his own surging Qijin. It is not a problem to fight with Shanren Beinan warriors. He has to deal with 1 person, and there is still 1 Shanren Qinan left. While Guan Qi was attracting everyone, Liu Sheng killed 1 person with his sword, so Xiaosuo didn't even have a chance to regret. Who are you? Seeing Liu Sheng's sword, Feng Bihua's pupils shrank suddenly. The other party appeared and attacked at a very fast speed, and his consciousness couldn't catch up. His eyes couldn't help but look at Xiaosuo. Meanwhile, Mei Yinghang's figure flashed and appeared in front of Xiaosuo, wanting to go forward to check on Xiaosuo's situation. Plop. In his sight, Xiaosuo's body fell directly to the ground. What? Seeing this, Mei Yinghang stretched out his hand and grabbed Xiaosuo's body. There was a sword mark between the eyebrows. Killed with 1 blow. He stretched out his hand to feel the key at the sword mark, but then a sword key burst out from the wound, and the key in Mei Yinghang's fingers also burst out. The sword key was shattered, but Xiaosuo's body fell to the ground. Mei Yinghang's eyes turned cold, and his body was like shedding a shell, leaving a residual shadow in the original place. His real body had already arrived in front of Liu Shengyijian. A palm turned into a claw and grabbed Liu Shengyijian's chest directly. However, Liu Shengyijian did not fight with him. His body flashed and retreated a few steps. At this moment, Guan Qi had already cured Du Guwu. His body suddenly went towards Mei Yingheng, and the ki in his body was like a surging wave, and he slapped out with a palm. "Your opponent is me," Guan Qi shouted in a low voice. Boom. When this palm slapped out, the palm force collided with the air, and a thunderous sound erupted. Mei Yingheng, who had attacked Liu Shengyijian, suddenly felt a mountain-like ki attacking him. His pupils contracted violently, and he turned his hand back, changing his palm from a claw to a fist, and punched out. Bang! The dull sound of the collision of ki made an explosion, and the two figures retreated behind them at the same time. "Guan Qi, how come your energy is so strong?" Mei Ying looked at Guan Qi with a look of surprise on her face. Chapter 373, Fierce Takeover, Violent Killing. 7 difficulties of heaven and man actually fought against him, a warrior of the 8 difficulties of heaven and man. He didn't lose at all. That's because your own ki is too weak. That's why your opponent is me, not him. You are what he left for me. 8 difficulties of heaven and man. Let me see if you can take my attack. When Guan Qi spoke, his muscles and bones creaked, and the ki in his body rushed out like a tide. The ki was flowing, and the ki and blood were burning. He looked at Mei Yingheng, as if he was looking at prey. "Guan Qi, you are looking for death. You are looking for death." Mei Yingheng saw the other party's eyes, and a furious roar broke out in his throat. He was one of the 8 difficulties of heaven and man, but he was actually despised by a warrior of the 7 difficulties of heaven and man. This was intolerable. He couldn't tolerate Guan Qi looking down on him. Boom. In a rage, the aura around Mei Yingheng suddenly surged, and a cold breath spread in the palace, and snowflakes appeared in the palace with the ki. Heavenly Mountain Cold Shadow Fist. Mei Yingheng shouted in a low voice, and grabbed with his palm. Endless cold air flowed in his palm, turning into a cold air vortex. Boom. It collided with Guan Qi's fist. Innate body breaking invisible sword ki. After the fists collided, Guan Qi used the innate infinite ki. The sword energy was sharp, and the cold air was overbearing. The two sides were in a state of fierce confrontation for a while. Boom. The ki burst out, and the whole palace felt like it was about to collapse. At this time, the Thousand Faces Fox, who had been staying here to watch the battle, changed his expression, and prepared to escape. But when she turned around, Dugu Wudi, whose injury had improved, appeared in front of him. He raised his hand and grabbed, and instantly pinched the Thousand Faces Fox's neck. "I really want to know where Lei Jiang is," Dugu Wudi said. "Master, spare my life, and I will tell you where Lei Jiang is," Thousand Faces Fox said hurriedly. "You are not qualified to bargain with me." Dugu Wudi began to exert force with his palm. Qian Mian, whose face turned purple, and he tried to pry open Dugu Wudi's palm with both hands, but was blocked by a force of ki. "Lei Jiang should be on the way here." Qian Mian, who stuttered. Dugu Wudi loosened his palm slightly. "You said Lei Jiang is on the way here?" "I guess so. He led the people from Xianshan sect here, and with his personality, he will definitely come to clean up the mess and take over your Wudi sect." Qian Mian, who said. "That means you are useless," Dugu Wudi said, and he exerted force with his palm. Crack! Qian Mian, whose neck was directly broken. At this time, the quietest people at the scene belonged to Liu Shengyijian and Feng Bihe. The two of them just confronted each other. "Who are you?" Feng Bihe looked at Liu Shengyijian with a cold look. Liu Shengyijian gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. "You don't need to know who I am. Today, only one of you, and I can walk out of this hall," Liu Shengyijian said in a deep voice. Feng Bihe's strength is close to the 9 difficulties of heaven and man, but he has not made a breakthrough. Liu Shengyijian has also entered this stage recently. Who will win or lose between the two will only be known after the fight. "Really?" Feng Bihe's eyes turned cold, and he took a step forward. He rushed directly to Liu Shengyijian, raised his palm, and chopped it down with a palm. It was a very simple palm. But after this simple palm was slapped out, there was a rumbling sound, and the palm was like thunder, giving people a feeling of thunder falling from the clouds. Xianshan School, Xian Lui Fengsu Palm. This move is thunder. In front of Liu Shengyijian, this palm fell like thunder, with the power of destruction. The long sword in his hand slashed out. The speed was so fast that it caught up with the falling thunder. Boom. The two forces collided, making a muffled groan, and then the two staggered. At the moment of staggering, Liu Sheng Gaijin chopped the long sword in his hand again, and his body followed. Feng Bihua's palm power appeared in his hand, with a sound of wind and thunder. Let's see if you can break my wind and thunder power. Feng Bihua's eyes became fierce as he swung out his palm. The energy in his body began to rise continuously and all poured into his palm. He wanted Liu Sheng to fight him head on with his sword. The palm power fell on the opponent's sword. The surging energy poured into the sword and went towards the opponent's arm. Liu Sheng turned his palm with his sword, and the sword body turned, turning into a sword shadow, and the sword energy burst out from the sword shadow. Feng Bihua stepped back to avoid the sword energy. Boom. The sword energy hit the ground, and the rocks shattered and shot out violently. The direction of the sword energy was exactly where Feng Bihua retreated. He waved his hand to smash the violently shooting rocks. But when he made this move, Liu Sheng's sword soared into the air and slashed out with one sword. The sword light was extremely fast and powerful. Not good. Feng Bihua's expression changed. He didn't expect that Liu Sheng had arranged this backup. When he swung out his sword, he raised his palm. Wind and thunder energy. The wind and thunder energy flowed in his palm to form an energy force. With the posture of a king lifting a tripod, he blocked the sword of Liu Sheng Li Jian. Boom. The sword energy slashed down, and Feng Bihua was suppressed by the powerful force. The ground under his feet suddenly exploded, and the broken stone wind collided with the energy in the air. It was instantly shattered and turned into dust. Smoke and dust rose, and the scene in front of Feng Bihua was blurred. At this moment, Liu Sheng Li Jian continued to slash with his sword. Boom. The previous scene appeared again, and the smoke and dust became thicker. After being hit twice in a row, Feng Bihua seemed angry. He kicked the ground with his foot, and his body suddenly shot out, trying to shake off Liu Sheng Li Jian's sword. When he made a move, Liu Sheng Li Jian's body turned into a residual shadow and fell to the ground. He raised his right hand, and the energy in his palm surged. The long sword rotated in his palm, and then shot towards Feng Bihua. Feng Bihua raised his hand and slapped it out to block Liu Sheng Li Jian's sword. When he blocked Liu Sheng Li Jian's sword, Liu Sheng Li Jian's figure suddenly accelerated, and he appeared in front of the opponent like a ghost. The second long sword on his waist was pulled out instantly. Swish. It pierced directly into the opponent's chest. Feng Bihua paused, and at this time Liu Sheng Li Jian retreated, and the long sword that had been flying rapidly before was caught in his hand. The sword flashed. The long sword pierced into the opponent's throat. Feng Bihua pointed at Liu Sheng Li Jian. He wanted to say something, but only uttered the word "you." Liu Sheng Li Jian didn't care about Feng Bihua and drew back the long sword. With his other palm, he sucked the long sword that was left at Feng Bihua's chest into his hand. "I won this battle, and you die." Then he looked at Guan Qi's battlefield. Perhaps he noticed Feng Bihua's situation. Mei Yingheng hesitated a little. But when masters fight, this little time will be lost a lot. Guan Qi will not give up this point. All the energy in his body gathered on his fist and then smashed it hard. Mei Yingheng could only lie down with his arms to block. Boom. The fist landed on Mei Yingheng's arms, and the key exploded instantly, and the terrifying power poured into Mei Yingheng's arms. Mei Yingheng immediately felt that his arms were about to break. A look of pain appeared on his face, and a stream of ki also poured into his body, and the whole person was like being hit by a heavy mountain. At this moment, the ground several feet around Mei Yingheng's feet suddenly exploded, and a large piece of rubble flew into the air, shooting around like a cannonball, and his whole body of ki and ki was shaken away. Plop, his legs knelt on the ground. Puff, a mouthful of blood spurted out, and blood flowed from all 7 orifices. After a successful strike, Guan Qi did not stop at all, and continued to punch. Boom. After a few hits, Mei Yingheng was hammered to death by Guan Qi. His body fell to the ground, and his meridians burst, and blood spurted out. Chapter 374 Lead out, kill you. The bloody air filled the hall. Guan Qi restrained his breath, and wiped the blood on his fist. There was a look of unsatisfied in his eyes. Lei Jiodong has already made a move. Let's get rid of him, and take down the ghost domain. Guan Qi said in a deep voice. From the Thousand Faces Fox, we know that Lei Jiang should be outside the Woody Gate. We will lure him out and kill him. Gong Sun Su, how long are you going to hide? While speaking, Dugu Woody looked outside the hall door and said in a deep voice, Kun Wu arrived and was killed. Gong Sun Su came with them at that time, but did not make a move and hid aside. Hearing Dugu Woody's words, the hiding Gong Sun Su quickly jumped into the hall. Meet the master. He wanted to defend himself, but he didn't know how to say it. After all, he was afraid of death and didn't make a move. Bang. When he finished speaking, Dugu Woody slapped him on the chest. A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. Master, spare me. Master, spare me. Gong Sun Su immediately begged for mercy. I won't kill you. Qian Mian who said that Lei Jiang should follow, but he didn't show up. He should be outside my Woody Gate. You go out and lure him out. Dugu Woody said coldly. I will definitely lure Lei Jiang out. Gong Sun Su said. I hope you can do it well, otherwise, the palm power left in your body will enter your internal organs, causing your internal organs to burst and die. Go. Dugu Woody said. Thank you, master. Gong Sun Su covered his chest and went out of the hall. He now hoped that what Qian Mianhu said was true. He also hoped that Lei Jiang was outside the Woody Gate. At this time, Lei Jiang and Zhu Xiang were standing in the dark outside the Woody Gate. Boss, there should be a fight going on inside now. Shouldn't we go and take a look? I wanted to go and take a look, but I'm afraid that the Xiantian sect will misunderstand, so we are waiting here. When the people from the Xiantian sect come out, we'll go in. Lei Jiang frowned slightly as he spoke. The people from the Xiantian sect have been in there for a while. Logically, they should have been dealt with and come out, but they haven't come out yet. He was thinking in his heart. A figure rushed out of the door. The figure spurted out a mouthful of blood. Boss, that's Gong Sun Su. It seems that Dugu Woody and Guan Qi are dead. Zhu Xiang saw the escaped Gong Sun Su and said. Yes, but Gong Sun Su, we can't let him go. Follow him first, learn about the situation inside from him, and then take action to get rid of him. Lei Jiang said. The two of them went in the direction where Gong Sun Su fled. In a forest. Gong Sun Su became more and more worried as he ran. He was afraid that Lei Jiang was not outside. What happened to Mr. Gong Sun? Why are you so anxious? Just when he was worried, a deep voice sounded in Gong Sun's ears. Gong Sun, who was running fast, was happy, but his face changed, and he didn't stop. But in front of him, a figure appeared. It was Zhu Xiang. Zhu Dangtao, why are you here? Gong Sun stopped and looked at Zhu Xiang with a vigilant look. Mr. Gong Sun seems to be seriously injured. What happened to your Woody sect? Tell me, maybe I can help you. Mr. Gong Sun. Zhu Xiang looked at Gong Sun and said. Zhu Dangtao, the sect master and Mr. Guan Qi were killed by people from Xiantian sect. Now the people from Xiantian sect are in the Woody sect's treasure house. I have a secret letter left by the sect master before his death. Send it to King Chen. Gong Sun said. You can't send it away. At this time, Lei Jiang, who was in the dark, came out. Lei Dangtao, what do you mean by this? Gong Sun looked at Lei Jiang and said with a change of expression. The meaning is very simple, that is to send you on your way. When Zhu Xiang spoke, his eyes narrowed, his feet kicked the ground, and his figure went directly towards Gong Sun Su. You. Gong Sun Su's figure quickly retreated. But the opponent's speed was extremely fast, and when the opponent's palm was about to grab his head, Master, save me. At this time, Gong Sun Su shouted. His shouting made Zhu Xiang's mind startled, and the speed of his palm slowed down a little. Although it was a little slower, it still moved forward. Just when his palm was about to get close to Gong Sun Su, Gong Sun Su's body was directly sucked away by a huge suction force, and Zhu Xiang's palm missed. His figure retreated rapidly. His eyes looked at Dugu Woody who appeared behind Gong Sun Su. A trace of cold sweat appeared on his forehead, and he couldn't help but look at Lei Jiang. Go. Lei Jiang turned around and left. How can I leave when Lei Dangtao is here? Guan Qi's figure appeared in front of Lei Jiang. Guan Qi, Dugu Woody, are you okay? Damn it. Lei Jiang thought to himself as he spoke. Guan Qi and Dugu Woody were both fine. So what did that mean? It meant that something happened to the people of Xianshan sect. But he was also confused. Feng Bihe and his group had 2 people who were at the level of the 8 difficulties of heavenly beings, especially Feng Bihe, whose strength was about to enter the 9 difficulties of heavenly beings. Does Lei Dangtao want us to be in trouble? Du Guwudi looked at Lei Jiodong and said, of course not, but brother Dibu, what do you mean by stopping me? Lei Jiodong turned around and looked at Du Guwudi and said, kill you. At this time, Guan Qi spoke. Kill me. Lei Jiodong's face showed a look of astonishment, but at this moment of astonishment, Lei Jiodong suddenly raised his palm and slapped Guan Qi. Although he didn't know what happened in the Wudi sect, he knew that only after passing Guan Qi's level would he have a chance to leave. Lei Jiodong made a move. Lightning flashed in his palm, and a bang sounded. His figure even turned into a residual image. He showed his extremely strong strength as soon as he made a move. How could he be bad at being friends with Feng Bihe? Feng Bihe's own strength was in the 8 difficulties of heaven and man, and Lei Jiodong was naturally also. Otherwise, he would not have become a big boss in the ghost domain. Guan Qi's pupils flashed with excitement when he saw Lei Jiodong's strength. Previously, Mei Yingheng fought with him, and they were fighting well, but later because of Feng Bihe's death, his spirit and energy fluctuated a little, and he found an opportunity and beat him to death. That was a bit unfair. Now Lei Jiodong has aroused his interest. Fists blasted out. The punches blasted out like a violent storm, and the fist force turned into the innate body-breaking sword energy, which was as dense as rain. In an instant, a huge ki storm was formed, carrying the violent ki force to produce a whistling sound, and collided with the opponent's lightning-like palm. Boom boom boom. A violent roar broke out from their fight. For a moment, lightning flashed, and ki was everywhere. With the naked eye, it was visible that the terrifying ki that shattered everything was rushing towards the surroundings like a tide, and the surrounding air was constantly filled with explosions, and the ground and dust were raging. Chapter 375, Lei Jiodong dies. The ghost domain changes its owner. Looking at the 2 sides fighting, Zhu Xiang, who was standing aside, had an ugly expression on his face. He didn't expect Guan Qi to be able to resist Lei Jiodong. He looked at Du Guwudi. Du Guwudi's aura fluctuated at the 3 difficulties of heaven and man, which was much worse than his. He, Zhu Xiang, could become the 2nd best in the ghost domain, and his real strength had already entered the 6 difficulties of heaven and man. Du Guwudi could suppress him. He wanted to move, but at this time, a breath suddenly locked him. This breath made him feel that he had met an extremely dangerous person. The strength is suppressed to the 3 difficulties of heaven and man. Kill me and you can leave safely. Du Guwudi looked at Zhu Xiang and said. Hearing Du Guwudi's words, Zhu Xiang's face lit up. He was definitely not an opponent of the person in the dark. If the other party wanted to kill him, he probably couldn't escape. Suppression, the same realm as Du Guwudi. Killing Du Guwudi, he could leave. This was his chance. Even if Zhu Xiang suppressed his strength to the 3 difficulties of heaven and man, he was confident that he could beat Du Guwudi. Kill. Zhu Xiang shouted, and a stream of air was compressed directly in his voice, and rushed towards Du Guwudi like a tide. Although he was suppressed by his strength, Zhu Xiang had been a warrior who had entered the 6 difficulties of heaven and man for many years. He wanted to find an advantage for himself, and he would not give Du Guwudi any chance. After the sound wave impact, Zhu Xiang's figure went towards Du Guwudi. When rushing towards Du Guwudi, he grabbed his waist with his right hand, and a soft sword appeared in his hand. The sword came out, and the black energy in his hand flowed into the long sword, and the long sword went towards Du Guwudi's chest like a poisonous snake. The speed was so fast that it turned into a black light, and above the black light, black sword energy was swallowing and spitting out. Zhu Xiang used all his strength this time. He could not use the energy of the 6 difficulties of heaven and man, but he also exerted the strength of the 3 difficulties of heaven and man to the extreme. He did not believe that Du Guwudi could dodge this sword. Although Zhu Xiang thought that his sword was fierce, Du Guwudi's eyes were unusually calm. When the long sword was about to pierce him, he clenched his palm into a fist and punched out. The key of the 13th level of the extermination demon art burst out from his fist. The fist force collided with the tip of the sword, making a sharp whistling sound. Boom. The fist finally collided with the tip of the sword. The two figures retreated at the same time. While retreating, Zhu Xiang kicked the ground with his foot, and the long sword in his hand changed his moves instantly. The sword energy shot out continuously, as if it was a torrential rain. The speed, power of the sword energy burst increased instantly. Du Guwudi looked at the bursting Zhu Xiang, his eyes slightly condensed. The sword energy bursting out of Zhu Xiang's hand was extremely powerful, and it was going to tear everything apart, and all the sword shadows were attacking his vital points. The sword energy hitting his gas mask felt like it was being torn apart. Roar. Du Guwudi roared, kicked the ground with his foot, and the extermination demon art in his body turned violently, and violent power burst out from his clenched fist. Boom. A punch was thrown out, colliding with the long sword, making a clanging sound. When the collision occurred, he suddenly turned his hand back, and a stream of ki appeared in his palm, pressing directly on the long sword. The ki on the tip of the sword trembled. The ki on the empty long sword was instantly broken. At the moment of breaking, the long sword softened. At the moment of softening, he suddenly flicked his fingers, and the tip of the sword instantly turned, and shot towards Zhu Xiang. Zhu Xiang was shocked, and turned the long sword in his hand. At this moment, Du Guwudi's figure turned into a residual image, and appeared in front of the other party. A punch was thrown out. Seeing this, the long sword in Zhu Xiang's hand broke away and punched out. The fists of the two collided in the air. Du Guwudi, even if I'm at the same level as you, your ki may not be stronger than mine. Zhu Xiang said coldly. Heavenly Demon Disintegration Method. Du Guwudi shouted in a low voice, and the ki on his fist suddenly surged. Bang! Under the violent impact, Zhu Xiang's arm was like an explosive force. The meridians on his arm burst, blood spurted out, and his body was also shaken back. He wanted to say something, but Du Guwudi did not give him a chance to speak. He took advantage of the victory and stepped forward, raising his fist again, like a mountain pressing down on his head, and rushed towards the opponent. The fist was thrown out, and a thunderous sound rang out. Zhu Xiang roared, and the energy of the 6 heavenly beings in his body burst out instantly. But a chill locked his heart, making him unable to burst out. He could only watch Du Guwudi's fist fall. There was horror and unwillingness in his eyes, and he wanted to roar. But Du Guwudi's fist had already hit his head. Blood mixed with brain matter burst out. Plop. The whole person fell to the ground. On the other side, Lei Jiodong seemed to be unaware of the situation here. He was concentrating on fighting Guan Qi. This Guan Qi was a madman. He didn't defend at all. He was always fighting him head on, not afraid of getting hurt at all. Relying on the golden plum bottle. Are you so unscrupulous? Guan Qi, if you use the golden plum bottle too much, you will become possessed. By then, you won't recognize anyone, and will only know how to kill. Lei Jiodong growled. But it was Guan Qi's fist that responded to him. Being attacked by Guan Qi's violent fighting style, Lei Jiodong gradually became furious. The lightning power in his body continued to gather, and the thunder power around him burst out. He also fought against Guan Qi punch by punch. Bang, bang. The two kept fighting, and after the sound of bang, there was a rumbling and dull explosion. Sand and rocks flew around them, forming a ki energy field. Boom. After another burst of explosions, the two separated. Their chests collapsed, and it seemed that many ribs were broken. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Your ki is very strong, which really surprised me, but you are still a little worse. Lei Jiodong's figure suddenly turned into a lightning, and appeared in front of Guan Qi like lightning. 9 thunder forces. His fist instantly landed on Guan Qi's heart, and 9 ki forces instantly emerged from his fist and headed towards Guan Qi's heart. It's your sorrow to get close to me. Guan Qi snorted coldly, and the great Jiangnan North Qigang instantly burst out, forming a ki force shield around him. The fact that it was named Great Jiangnan North Qigang shows how powerful this Qigang is, which is why Guan Qi was able to fight against the existence of the 8 difficulties of heaven and man with the strength of the 7 difficulties of heaven and man. Bang! The opponent's fist hit Guan Qi's ki force shield, and the ki force shield began to fluctuate, and was about to break. But it also resisted for a while. During this time, Guan Qi moved his body, and the opponent's fist force did not hit his heart in the end. At this time, Guan Qi's fist blasted out. The innate invisible sword energy that broke the body gathered on his fist. It quickly hit the opponent's heart. The powerful ki force pierced the opponent's heart like a violent flying sword. Bang! The two retreated violently. I actually lost. Lei Jiurong looked at Guan Qi with a look of reluctance, but he knew he had lost. Guan Qi's heart was not blown up, and the golden plum bottle could help him recover. Plop. His body fell to the ground. Guan Qi's injuries were recovering quickly. Pack up and go to the Ghost Realm. I will bring the other valuable files to the Ghost Realm's big file hall, and I will help you deal with the worthless ones. Liu Sheng Yijian's voice rang in the ears of the two. The voice seemed vague at the end, which showed that the person had walked very far. The Ghost Realm changed its owner tonight. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.